there's no more room in hell.
The dead will start a podcast.
Will you get out of my way? What's the matter with you? Holy shit, she's a friend of mine. Hey! That mask scratched at him. Get it? Because of that scratch, she became a thief, an instrument of evil. Like they said in the damn movie, you heard me.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of No More Room in Hell. It's Mike. Joining me as always is Mr. Venom. What's up, Venom?
Greetings and salutations, demonic maniacs. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Mike, you need to relax when you do the intro. You rush through it. Are you in a hurry, buddy?
It's Friday. I got nothing to do yet. I'm still trying to hurry up. All right. Also with us, it's Derek. What's up, Derek?
I'm pretty good, Michael. Now, can you introduce our guest? Because she's a friend of mine.
Well done, Derek. Well done. Yeah. So we have a very special guest, a returning guest. You should all know her from Slumber Party Massacre, Skip to the Loo, Cut to the Chase. Other thing, I like. She's all over. I think the last, what the hell is it? Last 20. Among many other things that she will fill us in on, because I'm sure I forgot something. It's the lovely Lacy Lou. What's up, Lacy? Welcome back.
Give me the knife.
Give it to me now. Quiet. No.
Thanks so much for having me. This is actually my first time on No More Room in Hell. I've been on Fresh Cuts and the Camp Crystal Lake gift shop, but never on No More Room in Hell.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Sometimes they kind of blend together with guests, too, because we have a lot of guests that we know and that we've done their shows. So, but yeah, okay, cool. This is your first time here. So, you get to talk about news and what you've been watching. So, how exciting. In addition to the actual movies that, by the way, Lacy picked our double feature for the episode. Lacy, would you like to let everyone know what two movies we'll be talking about in the main feature section?
Well, if they have not seen the cover art for the show, yeah, I chose, I wanted to do, like, movies within movies, which I guess technically both of these movies have it, but I was going to do Demons 1 and then another film, but then Mike was just like, well, I don't think we're ever going to be able to cover Demons 2, so we might as well just do that one, too. So technically he kind of picked the second movie because he's a bitch, but that's okay because they're both fun as fuck. So, yeah, that's why those got chosen.
You say bitch, I say persuasive. You know, I guess it's a fine line between them both. But, yeah. So, yeah, Demons and Demons 2, probably not new movies to our listeners, but hey, two movies that we should have a lot of fun talking about. Especially Demons 2. I feel like out of the two, Demons is probably the one that is watched a lot by people, more familiar. Demons 2, I wouldn't call that obscure or like hard to find or anything, but I don't hear it talked about as much. So I'm interested to see what everyone's thoughts are on it when we get to that. But we usually start the show with catching up with what the hell we've been watching. So I have lots of choices because we've had to delay the show a couple times, so it's like the list keeps getting longer. So I'll try to pick like the three I'm most okay talking about. But Venom, as always, you usually kick us off with this. So what is your first item on the watch list?
All right, the first thing I watched, the first thing that I'm going to talk about today is one that I'm not very high on. I would not necessarily recommend this movie as like essential viewing. I also wouldn't call it necessarily a piece of trash, so it's not going to be like, my bad movie of the month by any stretch, but it's still one that really didn't do a whole lot for me, and I had some major problems with the antagonist. But that movie is Punch. This is a movie that came out in 2023 in the UK. It is technically a 2024 film here in the US. Came out right after the new year, this past new year. And this is basically a slasher film about a young girl celebrating her last night in her hometown. And during the events of that evening, she's stalked by a mysterious killer named Mr. Punch, who wears a well-known mask, at least in this particular neighborhood or this particular town. Anyway, my my biggest issue with this movie is you can't tell what the fuck Mr. Punch is saying. The mask is so muffling on his voice, and rather than just do a voiceover, rather than just, replace the audio in the studio, they're literally using the live audio from the shoot. And I'm telling you, I had to turn on the subtitles to know what the fuck Mr. Punch was saying. And I'm not exaggerating. And this is coming from someone who absolutely loves foreign horror. But man, if you're going to do a movie in English, goddamn, let me at least hear what the hell, especially because it's the antagonist. It's the main villain. It's where most of the personality of the film is going to come from. And yet I don't know what the hell he's saying. The mask is cool. Some of the kills are okay. They're not great, ultra gory or anything. It's a serviceable slasher, but like I said, it has some major problems, both with its antagonist and with its overall story. Like, by the time the movie was over, I was not happy with the story. It kind of goes into weird elements somewhere in the third act that obviously I'll leave ambiguous for today. But my overall, short review of this one is it's serviceable. If you really, really like slashers and you're a slasher completionist, then maybe go out and check it out. Otherwise, this would not get any kind of recommend for me. Anybody else check this one out yet?
No, I remember this is the one that Don talked about the last show, I think.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Totally just goddamn. Don liked it way more than I did. I will definitely say that. Don is obviously a more pure slasher fan than I am myself. I like slashers that bring a little bit more originality to it than just kind of your basic copy and paste formula. This one isn't necessarily copy and paste, but by the time you get to the end, you're just scratching your head like, why the hell did these people think that this would work, or blah, blah, blah. It's just one of those movies. So, yeah, like I said, not a very high recommend from me.
I think I turned it on and, shut it off. Was, the beginning, this bitch was on a cliff or something? Or a hill?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, because they live on the seaside, yeah.
I was like, all right. I watched, 5 minutes and,
yeah,
it's obviously going to have to be a mood watch. And I was just like, this chick's face is already annoying me. So I shut it off.
I mean, the nice thing about it, the movie's only an hour and 20 minutes long. It's a quick watch. It doesn't really have any pacing issues necessarily. But like I said, it's all going to hinge on whether you like this antagonist and whether you like this overall story of what's happening in this town. Like I said, I myself did not. So yeah, Punch 2023, not a high recommend from me, but like I said, if you're a slasher mega fan, go ahead and check it out. It should be available on VOD currently. Next.
Yeah, let's not talk about that anymore. I guess I'll go next. So I checked out a movie from back in the day, 1978, because I kind of was in an Italian mood after watching a bunch of Lamberto Bava fucking movies lately, Demons and Blade in the Dark and shit. So I checked out Bloodstained Shadow, which is a giallo film from 1978, directed by Antonio Bito. He did Watch Me When I Kill too. Those are his two most famous films. He did a few other ones, but yeah, I've seen this movie before. It was a cool rewatch. I love the atmosphere because this takes place in of course, Italy. But it comes with the story about this guy who's coming to visit his brother, who's now the local priest of the church. And all of a sudden, murders start to happen. And it's kind of a precursor to a previous murder that happened years ago. And the priest brother said he witnessed the murder. So there's a lot of cat and mouse things going on with the brother without giving too much away. And Yeah, and then pretty much his brother and his newly formed girlfriend, hint, hint, pretty much they met on the train. They start banging right after they get off. You know what I mean, guys? Usually happens in all these Italian movies or like John Carpenter. Even John Carpenter movies have this trope. Where, hey, we just met like 5 minutes ago. Want to fuck? Let's do it. But yeah, the main star of this movie is Stefani Cassani, who you probably recognize as she was Susie's friend in Suspiria that ends up having that awesome barbed wire death in that movie. She's in it, yeah. And the score is done by Stefani Cipriani, but it's performed by Goblin because they couldn't actually compose the score themselves for some weird reason, so they actually had Cipriani compose it and they performed it. The score is the best part of the fucking movie. If you guys collected like old school like Blue Underground DVDs, remember like the old like Blue Underground logo with that music there, that's from this movie. It's you actually hear it, so that's kind of fucking cool. Yeah, Blue Underground actually originally put this out on DVD, so that makes sense. I actually watched the Vinegar Syndrome print of this movie, which looks fucking great. My major downfall of this movie is a lot of like later like 70s giallo. They kind of have like that formulaic sense where you kind of know where the plot's going, and this one kind of does that, but kind of the performances keep me interested enough to put that aside. So I overall still recommend it. It's still a great watch, and I even listened to it with the commentary by Troy Howarth, who he wrote a bunch of these books about this genre, so that was pretty funny. He had like Nathaniel Thompson. They actually were ranking dummy deaths from Italian movies on the commentary, which cracked me up. And they were both like, Zombie Holocaust still has the best dummy death of all time. And it does. You should just watch that movie just for that dummy death. It's fucking hilarious. But overall, Bloodstained Shadow, I still recommend it. It's part of the Vinegar Syndrome Giallo, Forgotten Giallo Volume 6 collection, which I like. I dig those sets. They're fucking awesome. Those are pretty much mostly all I buy now is those box sets and maybe like the random 4K that comes out. But yeah, Bloodstained Shadow, still awesome.
Nice. All right, Lacy, our guest. How about you?
Oh, God. Okay, so Dan and I actually did a commentary on this movie because it was the 4th of July, and I had never actually seen the whole thing through. And so I subjected myself to it. So if you want to hear like my real-time reactions to it, you can listen to that on Get to the Chase. But this movie I subjected myself to was I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh, this is the third one?
Yes. Yeah. He goes, ew. Yeah, it is ew. Yeah, this movie is so convoluted and stupid. They don't even name like the killer. It's like a ghost. I'm spoiling it. I don't care. The movie's that stupid. I'm saving your life. So
yeah, it's the ghost of Ben Mears from the other two movies, which is even weirder.
Well, it doesn't actually say Ben Willis's name ever. So like it just, I think it's like just the urban legend of him, because this actually takes place in like Colorado. So why the fuck would he go from, Wilmington all the way to fucking Colorado? And there's not even any snow.
Hey, you went to Barbados or wherever the fuck that was in part.
Or maybe it was Utah. But he's a ghost. So why is he like going, you know what I mean? So it's so stupid. And like the reason that the ghost, the hook man, like I'm not even calling him Ben Wills because that's a disgrace. So we're just gonna call him Ratchet Face. So so he goes, and the reason he's after the kids in this one is because at a state carnival on July 4th, they thought it would be cool to have somebody dress in a slicker and chase them around this carnival. And this one of their friends was supposed to do this really cool trick from escaping from the man with the hook in the slicker on a skateboard on top of a roof that he had been chased onto, but instead he falls sideways and lands on like a pole. But he falls sideways, but when it cuts to him, he has been impaled through the front of his body, not the side. So I don't really know how that made sense. But so, and they were like, yeah, we're never going to tell anybody about this. Like it was all an accident. And so like they're looking for the man with the hook this entire time. And so that's why he's after these. Like, why? Like it was a fucking accident. So stupid. So and it is so like mid 2000s close.
Isn't it?
And
fucking Don Shanks too is the killer. It's fucking Don Shanks.
I don't know.
Michael Myers in Part 5. I think
God.
it is.
But so they're it tries so hard to be Part 1 with like the friendship between these two girls, only like this chick's like supposed to be in a rock band, and like anytime it goes to like her singing, it like cuts away, so like you never actually get to see her sing. But so she didn't make it like in the big time so she comes back and now is like in a garage band and she's like mad emo.
It looks like a fucking emo fucking music video the way it's fucking shot. That fucking
it's so bad. Like I can't, like it's been a couple weeks since I watched it, but I thought it'd be fun to talk about here. Because just to
I actually own this movie on Blu-ray too, because I have the I Know What You Did Last Summer box set from 88 Films.
Yeah. It's so bad.
And I only got that because it has like the commentary tracks that from the Hysteria Continues on it. That's why I got that set. And oh my god, they even there like this movie's shit.
I don't even ever think I've seen this entry, but I almost have a morbid curiosity now because of how it's been described.
Fucking Don Shanks, I met him. He's a nice dude, but man.
Well, if you watch it along with Dan and I's commentary.
Yeah, that'll probably help.
It will.
My experience with this movie is pretty much the same as Lacy's experience with Punch. I turned it on. I think I made it 15 to 20 minutes in, and I just raised my arms and said, done, and just stopped it.
Well, that's what happened
That's
what happened when I first turned it on. I was like, what do you mean it's not connected? And it like pissed me off like back when I watched it. And so I never finished it. Like I literally got up and like walked away. And so finally, all these years later, subjected ourselves to it because we're completists.
It makes fucking Part 2 look like a masterpiece, which is
Part 2 is a masterpiece. You shut your whore mouth, Derek.
Well, you know what I mean. Let's be honest. I enjoy Part 2 for the wrong reasons. It's a bad movie.
It's an amazing movie. Well,
it's got Jack Black and cornrows.
Oh God.
Brandy's in the second one, right?
And Jeffrey Combs. It's got the weirdest cast ever.
Let's not bring up Jack Black anymore.
Yeah, he's on my shit list.
Yeah, we're done with Jack Black.
Not today.
All right, so the first of my three I'll bring up is the one that I like the least out of the three. And this is a movie, I think, now that it's 2024, it's probably been about a decade, because I think it's 2014 or 2015, but it is on Shudder. I was just looking for something random to watch that I hadn't seen, and it's called Backcountry. The short synopsis, when I threw it on, it was like a couple on a camping trip gets stalked by like a malicious or menacing bear. Probably menacing, not malicious, but
Eric Balfour.
Yeah. What I can say off this movie right off the bat, it has a great 20 minutes. The problem is it's a 90-minute movie. So, I mean, if you're in the mood for like a killer bear movie, you're gonna get about 20 minutes of that, and the rest of it, unfortunately,
Eric Balfour.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, I guess, is it's basically like a couple hashing out relationship issues. They run into like a few people out in the woods, but there's really nothing of consequence until the bear shows up. And from that point on, I'm like, oh, okay, now is actually good. But I kind of paused it to see like, okay, how far are we into it? And I was like, holy shit, the movie has 20 minutes left and the bear is just now showing up. They don't even really have much adversity, like just from the woods or nature or camping itself. Cause I figured, okay, it's obviously a lower budget movie. They probably can't afford, or they don't have the resources to have the bear like chasing them throughout the whole movie, so they're kind of like trying to pace that out. But I was like, give me something else, like, dude falls off rock climbing, or they get some type of other injury or something, that's kind of like an appetizer to the main course of the bear. That doesn't really happen. So I don't know. I could see people liking it more than I did. If you're not, if the fact that the killer bear doesn't show up until 20 minutes left in the movie, I will say, like, there is a pretty cool aftermath of what the bear does to somebody. Like, I was really impressed with that. But overall, does it do enough to make me recommend the movie? Not really. Yeah, it's just 20 minutes of like a good bear stalking an attack, and the rest was kind of boring leading up to it. And the fact that, like, I thought the movie was almost over and no bear. But has anyone else seen Backcountry?
Yes, I have.
And what did you think?
It wasn't my favorite, because this came out like the vast majority of fucking other bear movies came out. Like Into the Grizzly Maze came out like the same year, I think. And another one, I think there was another killer bear, like there's even a polar bear killer bear movie that came out, like called Unnatural, that came out the same year. This is probably my least favorite, but it's probably the most, like, because this was actually based on an actual event. It was probably a fucking 20-minute bear attack that happened, but they made a whole movie around it. Personally, I like this director's other movie more because it's the same dude who did Pyewacket.
Yes.
I love Pyewacket. Yeah.
Yeah, so, it might not hit for most people, but, I did like that it had like that kind of like force of nature aspect of the beer in it too. That kind of, that helped it, plus the Backcountry had like fucking Eric Balfour in it, which was like the only known actor in the movie, and he's from fucking the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. That's the only actor I recognized from that movie. But it's been a while though since I've seen it. I've seen it when it first came out. But if you're looking for a really awesome one, watch Into the Grizzly Maze. It's Billy Bob Thornton versus a bear with Cyclops and Thomas Jane.
And a motorcycle.
Yeah, I think I remember watching this. Like, it kind of feels like in vein of that movie Bobcat did a little bit. Like, it's not like a Sasquatch movie, but it kind of felt like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it does feel like that. You're right.
Yeah, it felt like Willow Creek because, like, literally nothing happens for, like, the longest time. And, like, I remember I watched this one, like, during, like, the 31 days of Halloween because everybody's like, oh, man, it's got, like, a super fucked up, bleak ending, blah. I'm like, okay. After watching it, like, it was pretty anticlimactic first. But, I mean, like, it was all right. But, like, yeah. But what's cool is actually the director of this is the voice of John Carter in Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's fun.
All right, let's kick it back to Venom for pick number 2.
All right, well, this next one, this is going to be my guilty pleasure pick of the episode. I'm going to start my short review by saying flat out, this is not a good movie. It's not. But it how can I put it? It's one of those movies
sold.
It's just one of those movies that I found endlessly charming and entertaining. I think most people are going to watch this movie and think that it's just absolutely dumb and stupid, but I don't know. Something about it worked for me. I honestly thought that it was going to be a horror comedy going into it, but it turns out it's not so much a horror comedy, more a horror action film. And the biggest selling point, I think, for most people, and this might actually give away the movie for a lot of us, it's the fact that it stars Michael Madsen as Dr. Frankenstein. Yes, my friends, if you have not heard of this movie is called Monster Mash. It is
I've been waiting to hear about this movie.
Dude, it is an incredibly stupid movie shot on video, so it looks like a television show. It doesn't even look like a movie. The acting performances, though not Oscar worthy, I just found them to be so charming, so interesting. Now, I haven't gone over the synopsis yet. Listen to this synopsis, my friends. Dracula, the werewolf, the mummy, and the invisible man must work together to stop Dr. Frankenstein from creating an unstoppable monster. I mean, if that doesn't sell you on the movie, I don't know what the fuck will. Like I said, when I read that, I was convinced it was going to be a horror comedy.
Michael Madsen plays Dr. Frankenstein.
And Michael Madsen plays an evil Dr. Frankenstein. Basically, he's coming to the end of his life. He's an old man, as Michael Madsen is, though he tries to hide it as well as he can. And because he's coming to the end of his life, he's trying to create a body that he can transfer his essence into, or his soul, whatever you want to go with, which will in turn make him pretty much immortal, unstoppable, all-powerful. It's just so silly. But my friends, I really like this Frankenstein. They actually call him Boris in the movie, so I found that to be just a nice little wink and a nod. We have Dracula, played by Ethan Daniel Corbett, who, my friends, aside from Gary Oldman, this is one of the better Dracula performances I've seen in a very long time. I mean, he's not quite up there with, what was it, Monster Squad by any stretch, but for this style of movie, I thought this was great. I mean, he actually blows away the Dracula that we see in, that movie's still kind of new. Is that a spoiler? Fuck it, I don't care. I'm going to say it. If you haven't seen it by now, that's your issue.
Abigail?
The Dracula... Abigail, exactly. Basically, this Dracula is so much better than the Dracula, that fucking idiot that we get at the end of Abigail. This guy is...
Nick Cage and Renfield?
Well, Nick Cage and Renfield, that's all... I mean, I can't say any part of Nick Cage was taking that role seriously. That is a...
Hey, when it was the black and white, he looked like a damn good Dracula.
Sure, yeah, when he's not speaking and not overacting, absolutely.
He's not Nick Cage, yeah.
But that's what I mean. This is the same style of movie as like a Renfield. Obviously not nearly as fun or gory as Renfield. Obviously, this thing is a micro budget. Like I said, shot on video. I think it was shot in Mexico even. It's an American production, but I think it was shot in Mexico. So, yeah, they definitely cut corners left and right. Like I said, be warned. This is not a good movie, flat out. But I enjoyed it. The Wolfman is funny. The Invisible Man is actually hysterical. The whole concept of how they utilize their abilities in this one, that's mildly original. Some of the rules that they come up with here for the Wolfman and the Invisible Man are things that I've not seen in other movies starring those characters. So, like I said, it's a cheap, micro-budget horror action movie with an absolutely terrible CG monster at the end that you're just going to be laughing at the entire time. But my friends, by the end of the movie, I did not regret spending an hour and 25 minutes with this movie. Like I said, I found it to be charming. Dracula's daughter was hot, even though her Eastern European accent was fucking laughable. I mean, it was...
found our next Halloween commentary.
Oh, dude, I would do this as a Halloween commentary in a fucking second. I think this movie is fun as shit. So, like I said, go into it...
We're doing it. Fuck it.
If you decide to watch it, my friends, go into it knowing that this is not a good movie. It's just a movie that worked for me. It's like a Saturday the 14th to me. It's a movie that's endlessly terrible, but it works for me as a guilty pleasure watch. So I give Monster Mash a mild recommendation. If you know how to have fun and you know how to appreciate a good bad movie, I would say watch it. Mike, just stay away from Monster Mash because you don't like fun in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, don't watch it. Yeah. Everyone else, check it out.
I mean, I'll probably stay away from it because you opened the segment with "This is not a good movie." That's
it's
probably
not.
Yeah, but this could be like Sleigh Bells material. This could be like
you know, Sleigh Bells is practically Oscar worthy compared to this movie. I mean, I can't put into words enough. Like, it doesn't look as bad as August Underground or Things or anything like that. I mean, it's shot mildly well. Like I said, it is digital video, so it looks like a TV show, but It looks like an episode. It looks like not even a good episode of like Tales from the Crypt from like the mid '90s. It just does not look good.
Lacy,
Yeah, I'll be honest. I have scrolled by it a couple times, and just for the fact that it's Michael Madsen, I was like, I wonder like what 2024 era Michael Madsen would be like in like some weird horror comedy.
Yeah.
I just couldn't bring myself
watch
to do
Lumberjack,
it.
man.
Yeah, Michael Madsen's not even. I mean, he's obviously the selling point. He has top billing. I mean, he's the only named star in the movie, but he's not the best part of the movie. Like, I think the monsters are all great. I think Dracula, Ramses, the Mummy, Wolfman, Invisible Man, like they're all endlessly entertaining. And when they all get together, again, to see these guys working together for good, no less, not even for evil, like all of these monsters are together to try to do something good for the world. And for whatever it's worth, maybe it's because I felt like a 10-year-old kid watching an old monster movie all over again. Oh, you know what I should do? I would recommend, if anybody watch this movie, turn the color off on your TV, watch it in black and white. I bet you it's probably slightly more entertaining, and maybe the CG at the end won't look as bad too. So there's a mild recommendation there. But yeah, I liked it. I will probably return to it, and if we're doing it for Halloween, I'm actually looking forward to it. I had fun with it.
Yeah, we should just not watch it until then, Mike. We'll just watch it for the commentary. It'll probably be a fun experience for all of us then, you know.
I would say everybody drink up, smoke up, enjoy whatever vice you enjoy, and then let's do this commentary. It'll be epic.
It'll be like Sleigh Bells Part 2. That was my favorite commentary we ever, because all three of us never seen that movie when we pressed play on it. Nope. It was fucking a great experience.
So bad. All right, yeah, that's it for Monster Mash.
Oh, I'm next, I guess. So I'll mention this movie because I didn't get to do this episode of Fresh Cuts. I saw Maxine. My least favorite of the trilogy by far. Not some of the visual style is great in it, but the story is just like all over the place in that one. The thing that really bothered me the most about it is like how much it like pushed it to be like it's an 80s set time. And you know, I'm kind of sick of all these movies taking place during the fucking Night Stalker. Like, I'm like, oh, you just had this with fucking American Horror Story, you know? It kind of annoyed the fuck out of me in that aspect. And some of like that news clippings too, like, oh god, this has no fucking point to this movie. If this wasn't in it, it would be the same movie. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Those aspects of it I hated. Wish there was more Gina Carl Esposito in the movie. He was one of my favorite parts, but he was so little. And Kit Bacon was great. He was probably the best part of the movie for me, especially that one scene with him and fucking Larry Fessenden. That was probably my favorite fucking awesome scene of the movie. Like, I kind of nerded out on that moment. Like, it's fucking Larry Fessenden and fucking Kevin Bacon in the same scene together. When has this ever happened before? This is not life. This is like indie meets like high Hollywood, you know what I mean? It was a fucking crazy aspect of filmmaking that I kind of appreciate, especially where that movie, like, whole thing with the Bates Motel. You know, even like the Ty West did that fucking cheesy thing where he does like the Hitchcock walk to the Bates Motel. I'm like, oh, I see what you did there, Ty. But overall, yeah, probably my least favorite of these movies. My favorite being the first one. I love the first one a lot. Fucking, I talked about that even on this show before. Like, fucking, it was such a weird cast. Like, you had the guy from Virgin River and fucking Kid Cudi and like and Brittany Snow from fucking Pitch Perfect. It's fucking so weird. And Jenna Ortega and making a porno. This is the fucking weirdest movie ever. But yeah, overall, still a solid watch. You know, I would say if anything, the best way to watch this movie is on the theater because of the visual style. But yeah, it's very goofy at the end. Very. Like, even, like, some of the, like, it's just weird seeing, like, some of these cast members in this movie, like Michelle Monaghan in this fucking Ty West movie. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And the gold chick from Guardians of the Galaxy is the director.
Halsey's in here for one quick scene, too.
Yeah, and fucking Phil Collins' daughter, Lily, is the star of The Puritan. She was cool. She got ahead in life.
Ah!
We haven't got a chance to review it on Cut to the Chase yet, but I will just give a mini spoiler of my opinion. Hated it.
Yes! I love you, Lacy.
Like, oh my god. And like, I'll just say the song they used at the end pissed me off so fucking much.
Betty
Like,
Davis line? Didn't he?
I was so fucking mad. Like, ugh. Like, there are so many things that, like, I'm mad at Ty West for in this movie. And I don't know, Mia Goth just looked really fucking tired. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, she wasn't doing enough cocaine. Yeah, I think, yeah, so those are just my brief thoughts on it. But hated it.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously,
Yeah.
Mike and I, we did a review on Fresh Cuts where I think I was the lowest on it. I mean, all three of us had issues with it. None of us really praised it in any way. I famously hated Pearl. Go back to that review if you want to find out why. I think I had an epic 15-minute rant about why I fucking hated that movie. And Maxine is just not that much better. I will give Maxine credit because it's not completely Mia Goth's vehicle. Yes, she is the star, but the fact that you get Kevin Bacon, Giancarlo Esposito, and some of the other great people in there makes the movie watchable. I thought Kevin Bacon was fucking amazing in this movie.
Yeah, he's his best
Absolutely.
role. Well, yeah, he's great.
Yeah, just every scene.
It was
he
weird
was
because I
in,
watched
he's-
2 Kevin Bacon movies the same week, like Beverly Hills Cop 4 and this.
Ew. Anyway, yeah. I mean, every scene that Kevin Bacon's in this movie, he's chewing up the scenery. That accent is spectacular. Just everything about him, right down to his final scene in the movie, he's endlessly entertaining. So yeah, the movie has elements that I did enjoy much more than Pearl. I know Pearl's the one that gets all the praise. Pearl's the one that everybody says, oh, Mia Goth should have gotten an Oscar nomination. I laugh at all those people, but, opinions are valid no matter what side of the opinion you're on.
Waiting for the true part 3, Theta.
Ah, Theta.
Theta.
That'd be awesome. Oh, man. But yeah, I mean, to me, Maxine was more police procedural than horror movie anyway, which... already, I mean, and then the following week, we get potentially the greatest police procedural released in theaters since Silence of the Lambs. So literally, when I walked out of the theater after watching Longlegs, I forgot Maxine was even a thing.
Yeah.
And I love Longlegs for it. You made me completely forget that Maxine is even a thing. So thank you so much for that. The movie didn't work for me on many, many levels. Like I said, check out the episode of Fresh Cuts if you want to hear our opinions. But yeah, I'm right there with Lacy Lou. Oh God, thank you, Lacy Lou. You said something so controversial yet so brave. Thank you.
Yeah, it
I got
wasn't
it.
my favorite viewing either. Like, even I was like, kind of like, this is kind of dragging in some places and shit. Like, yeah, but it's whatever. I did like some of the aspects they did with like some of the stylistic choices of like,
filmmaker,
like the police,
yeah.
The police procedure stuff's like the Giallo, like goofy policeman. You had the Ant-Man's fucking ex's husband, like that's what it kind of jarred me because it's probably like his most like movie with known actors in it. It was kind of weird seeing these actors in a Ty West movie.
Exactly, yeah, big time. He's definitely made the transition now. I think we can probably expect big name actors in most of his films moving forward. We're not going to get any more Innkeepers or Sacrament from Ty West. We're going to get big Hollywood movies. So and good for him. Hey, he
as long
found
as he gets
success.
Fessenden
Awesome.
in, if he makes Fessenden,
he needs his he needs his
back
Sam
those old stars.
he needs his Sam Raimi Spider-Man moment that'll like put it over the top.
Fessenden, that'd be awesome.
With Fessenden, that'd be great.
Yeah, imagine him in a Marvel movie with fucking Pizza Papa.
Oh no, terrible.
That'd be amazing.
I guess for Sam Raimi, it might have been a simple plan because that kind of got him out of the straight horror genre.
Yeah, but I mean that wasn't a mega hit. I mean that was a hit critically, but I mean a $1 billion movie. I mean that's your first big success.
But look at the opposite effect of that, because Scarlett Derrickson did a fucking Marvel movie, but then he went back to horror,
and suddenly he can't do horror. Ripping off his own damn movie.
Oh yeah, I think Raimi did The Gift too before Spider-Man.
Yes, he did. Yep.
Yeah.
All right,
Bob.
Is Lacy
Enough Ty
next?
West talk before I get pissed off.
Okay, so I had obviously I get like major cravings of the Halloween season. So like periodically throughout the year, well, probably like once a month we watch Halloween H2O. But I was like, you know what? I haven't busted out. We're not talking about Halloween H2O. I was scrolling through our movies or whatever, and I was like, you know what? I haven't busted out my 4K of Halloween 2. So as I'm like looking at it, I realized that, you know, there's the 4K, there's a director's cut Blu-ray, and then there's a DVD of the TV cut. And so I was like, you know what? Like, we'll save the, you know, the good parts for Halloween season, right? So let's watch and see how different the TV cut is. Holy fuck. Like, I knew, like, because that was like the movie that was on like all the time when I was a kid, and I think that's why it was like my favorite. And like I always had remembered fucking Jimmy living, and like I was like, no, he's definitively alive. And I swear people told me I was fucking crazy. But if you watch TV cut at the end, he's totally in the ambulance with Lori. I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, I knew it. And like, but like there's so much shit cut out. Like it's like almost feels like a completely different movie. Like, so like when Lori and Loomis, after she shoots him in the eyes, like dead on, and blows the thing up, that's what causes Jimmy to slip on the blood. And like when he's in the back of the ambulance, yeah. And when he's in the back of the fucking ambulance, he has a thing like wrapped around his head like a mummy would, you know, like the bandages. Like it's so fucking ridiculously stupid. And yeah, there's like more dialogue with like just like the other kid, like the nurses and whatever. And then they don't even use the good line of "we've been trick-or-treated to death. You don't know what death is." Instead, like Loomis just like walks around awkwardly. None of that happens.
Yeah, that's a crime for cutting that out.
Yeah, like it was a
That's like the beginning of the movie. That's fucking bullshit.
But what's weird is like, so like the regular cut is like 93 minutes and this is 92. So not only did they cut shit, they added shit. And so, yeah, it was super weird to watch because I hadn't seen it in like years. And I thought it was like totally like a Mandela effect, right? Of Jimmy being alive. Like it doesn't ever show him going out and like falling into the car horn. None of that. Literally just shows him slipped on the blood real quick and then he's popped in the back of the ambulance. Like in the scene where Michael is sitting in the penitentiary or insane asylum, like Lori has like come to visit him and like they use like this really weird, creepy, cringy little girl voice, like, Michael, I'm your sister. Like it's so fucking stupid, but like it feels like a different movie. And like Halloween 2 is like one of my favorites. So to watch that cut, I don't know if I can do it again, but like if I did, it'd have to be for a commentary. But yeah, so
yeah, I think there's another added in scene of like Loomis talking to like the medical review board or something that was added for the TV cut. But you're talking about whatever's on that DVD is like the straight up broadcast TV cut version, because I've also seen the TV cut where it's like they just add in the scenes that were added to the TV cut, but it sounds like what you got is like even more of a gem, well, in quotes, gem of a cut where like they straight said this is how it was broadcast on TV, so we're gonna put it on DVD. That's interesting.
Yeah, if you have the 4K of it with like where he has like the stupid leaves painted behind him. You get
that's every cover too. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's so stupid, the floating fucking leaves. But yeah, it was cool because it had that, and yeah.
Interesting, yeah. Because I've definitely seen the TV. Because like I grew up a lot of times having watched these movies just on regular broadcast TV, so I definitely remember the fact that they added scenes and like most of what you're talking about. But I haven't seen the cut.
It's like
years.
the TV cut of the Goonies where they actually have the octopus scene, but in the theatrical version they don't have it, but they still mention that they fought a fucking octopus in the Goonies.
Yeah, that always cracked me up that they mention it, and then it's if you're like really paying attention to the dialogue, it's like, wait a minute, they what? I don't
They fought
remember.
octopus. Win.
All right, yeah, I do have that 4K, so but I haven't thrown on the TV cut yet, so I will because I haven't seen it in years, so it'll make for an
I have too
interesting.
many issues with Halloween 2 to really watch it too often. I like the overall movie as far as the kills, as far as Michael's interactions. I'm even okay with Laurie becoming a fucking marksman by the end of the movie somehow, but this is the movie that introduced the Laurie is your sister shit, and I've just always had a fucking problem with it. Even when the movie was brand new, I remember railing against that plot line. What, she suddenly is fucking sister now? What the hell? Like, I just thought it was lazy and stupid. And that was one of my happiest moments of the new trilogy, that they retconned that whole thing. Like, I fucking hated it. So yeah,
Well,
so I, as much as I love Halloween 2, it's a hard one for me to watch because of all the sister garbage.
Oh. They created so
All
many
right.
other rabbit holes, like the choose your own adventure Halloween.
Yeah, exactly.
Weird, so weird.
All right. My next pick is a movie I actually just watched today, not too long before we started. It's called Mind, Body, Spirit. So this movie, it starts. It's kind of like a screen horror movie. The setup is basically this chick who she does like yoga videos or yoga tutorial videos. She seems like I think she's like just starting it because she's trying to like build up her following, whatever. And she's basically filming in this house she just moved into that her grandmother left to her when she passed away. And so you get that, and then she has like an interaction with her mom over. It's not Skype, obviously, whatever they would call their movie version of it. And you could tell the mom's kind of like hesitant, like, you should just move back home. You know, you don't need to be there. So immediately you kind of get the feeling like, oh, there's something going on with the grandma, like, obviously. Yeah. And the movie kind of turns into like a dollar store Hereditary, or tries to be. I mean, that in itself, just saying that could be a spoiler, so I'm not going to give away any more details. But
Bill Pullman?
yeah, it just feels like they go when you're watching it. It feels like they're going for a lot of those themes that like a much better movie would handle. Like,
Just tell us the fucking name. We're not gonna watch this.
yeah, it's intergenerational trauma stuff, and like, oh, someone's trying to set you up for something. It's the good thing is it is sub 90 minutes, so it is short. Honestly, okay, I'll put it like this: I didn't actually dislike the movie. I just don't think it's anything that you need to go out and rush and watch, because like the more the movie goes on, it's like, yeah, these themes are okay. The subject material is fine. Just we've seen it done in much better movies than this. But for like a quick 85 minute watch, it's okay. It's like a very small cast, which most screen-based horror movies tend to be. I think everyone that's in it is fine. They're good enough to push the movie, but it just feels like, okay, been there, done that. Between the screen horror elements and the you want to be like Hereditary, I guess. It's just not a priority watch. But if you're looking for a quick movie just to catch up on 2024's, because it is a 2024, it's out there. I'll say that. I assume no one else has seen it, so there's not much discussion to be had about it. But so Mind, Body, Spirit is now available. Next, Venom, back to you. Final pick.
Oh man, if I had the choice, I'd talk about Oddity. I want to talk about Oddity so bad. I've watched it 2 days in a row now, but I also
Same.
know that's the next episode of Fresh Cuts, so you guys will have to tune into the next episode of Fresh Cuts to hear our opinions.
Sunday morning for me is.
Yeah, I want to talk about it too, but I'm kind of.
I'll be seeing it Sunday for the third time. Yeah, that tells you exactly what you need to know about it, my opinion on it. So I'll leave it alone for now. As far as I don't really have much. I will say that earlier this week, I did return to a movie that we reviewed here on the show probably, over 2 years ago now, and that was Valerie and Her Week of Wonders.
Ooh.
I know we reviewed it on this show, but goddamn, guys, I watched it again this week, and I think I like it even more now than I did when we reviewed it a couple of years ago. It's aging so well, and with everything happening in society right now, with just classism, ageism, discrimination, assassination attempts. Like that story of Valerie's Week of Wonders just still works so well for me. It is a very, obviously we talked about how artistic it is and everything else. I know I'm kind of cheating here by bringing in a movie that we've already discussed at length on this show, but if there are any new listeners to the show that maybe weren't listening to us a couple of years ago, amazing Czechoslovakian horror movie from 1970 that I revisited again this week, and I fell in love with it all over again. Yes, you do have to deal with the fact that the main star is underage and she is naked throughout a lot of the film, which was a little controversial at the time. Obviously now it's over 50 years later, so nobody's really thinking about it that much, but yeah. It's a movie that I wanted to bring up again because I feel like if anybody didn't check out that the first time that we reviewed it, please check out that film if you get a chance. It's not the easiest movie to find. I think you can find it on Amazon Prime to rent. But yeah, it's just I just had thought about that just this second, literally, because I don't have a whole lot. It's been mostly Fresh Cuts movies for the last few months, so everything that I've watched in the horror genre we've talked about on Fresh Cuts ad nauseum. So, yeah. Valerie and Her Week of Wonders. Check it out if you get a chance.
Yeah, double feature with Solo.
I don't know about that much, but maybe.
That'll fucking fuck your weekend up, man.
Derek's just trying to get people to watch Solo.
Yeah. Watch Valerie second then. It'll be a palate cleanser for Salo.
That was funny. Remember in fucking Podcast Under the Stairs when I was trying to make everybody, let's do In a Glass Cage for 86?
Oh. Man. Hey, I almost brought the Holy Mountain to the table.
From Willy Wonka, she can't watch it ever again, right, Lacy?
I almost brought the Holy Mountain to this show, so yeah.
Jodorowsky?
Yeah, I was in a weird mood. Luckily, I
What'd
changed
you say,
my mind.
Lacy?
Yeah.
I said not the semen.
Oh yeah, not Slugworth, Slizzler.
Slugworth. All right, who's next?
I am.
All right.
So I'm gonna talk about I'm gonna talk about a movie that's very divisive. I think everybody knows what I'm gonna be talking about, and that's In a Violent Nature.
Ooh.
Yeah, this movie, I've fucking been like always just curious about it because I saw the ads when it was fucking playing and I didn't get to go see it. So I fucking ate like 3 gummies one night and I fucking turned this movie on and I'm like, wow, this is like if fucking Terrence Malick fucking directed a Friday the 13th movie. It was kind of fucking cool because it was like the sense of like the visual style of nature and like the scenery. Like it's very like Terrence Malick and that minimalist approach of filmmaking where you follow like the first half of the movie is you follow this killer, like this like Jason Voorhees type murderer, and he summons and comes out of the ground. And it's from his perspective, so there's a lot of leaf crunching. I'll admit, like even Mike was joking in the chat, he killed a lot of leaves. And yeah, that aspect of it, I'm like, yeah, but this is like watching Christian Bale walking through the field in the New World. You know, it's like that same kind of, or like Nicholas Winding Refn fucking in Valhalla Rising with Mads Mikkelsen, kind of like violent scenery, and you know it's kind of aspect in that, you know, it's nature over nurture, where this movie is displaying this killer Johnny as like a force of nature, and it's like you're following like this force of nature through its path, and when it stops, in that aspect where it's kind of lead. I can see why this movie would turn a lot of people off, and people with, in the aspect of it being like this kind of artsy, farcy, like fucking talk, especially with the final climax of the movie. I totally get why people do not like that ending at all. It's an artistic choice of the movie, and kind of doing some digging in it. It is kind of a cool aspect because the woman in the end of the movie is actually one of the stars of one of the Friday the 13th movies, which I didn't even know when I first watched it. I kind of found out after, like, okay, I see what you did there. I see why that aspect of the movie's there, and I can see why a lot of people would hate it. But I kind of, because I was in like that kind of down to earth state where I was, maybe I'm not gonna say maybe not be high. You might have problems with this movie not high. You know what I mean? But I dug it. I'm not gonna say like it's gonna be for everybody in that aspect, and I could totally see that. It's kind of like the way I viewed this movie. It worked for me, but overall, I totally get why this movie wouldn't work for a lot of people. I totally see it. And I know you guys reviewed it, and I listened to your guys' points, and I agree.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to be the one to say it. This movie review was brought to you by THC Gummies. Because, goddamn, I hated that goddamn movie. Son of a bitch. How can a movie with some of the coolest kills I've seen in years be also simultaneously be one of the most boring horror movies I've seen in years?
Yeah.
Like that takes effort. Like that's no easy task, my friends. Honestly, I didn't hate In a Violent Nature. I didn't hate it. I hated elements of it. Yes. I think another part of it is that you didn't see it in the theater, Derek. So
that's
the scenes, the scenes of walking in the woods felt like an eternity when you're sitting in the theater just waiting for him to get to his goddamn destination. Like the whole time I'm screaming, take a fucking Uber, dude. I mean, I don't want to watch you walking anymore. Like, it was interesting for the first act of the movie, legitimately. Like, when he first emerges, it's mildly interesting, and he's walking up to that house where he does his first kill with the old man. Awesome. But then and I understand that if you actually time all the walking in the movie, it comes out to like less than 20 minutes of a 90-minute movie. So when when you're talking about the numbers, it doesn't sound bad. But when you're sitting in a darkened theater, not able to turn on your phone, not able to talk to the person that you're with, and you're just forced there to sit quietly while this guy is just walking and walking and walking. God damn it. I am so jealous of Derek. I didn't think to take some gummies before watching it. Maybe if I do, I might enjoy it more. I mean, I don't think I'll have as much of a problem with it if I ever were to rewatch it, because now I know what's coming. I know that there's going to be scenes like that, so I'll know to be prepared. I'll have a couple of beers with me ready to go. But yeah, that first watch in the theater, man, I just, and I wasn't alone. Like, everyone in the theater, like, after a while, people were laughing. And I was joining them, like, literally by the 8th walking through the woods scene, we're just laughing. We're laughing at the fucking screen. Yeah, just walking in the woods, and, just moseying along, killing leaves. I'm sorry. It has its moments. Like I said, some of the best kills I've seen in a very, very long time.
Did you ever want to just like edit like him walking with like music in the background, like put your own musical theme, like
dude, thing? Walking it would be Walking on Sunshine all day long.
We should do that. That'd be hilarious.
Like I said, if you have more patience than I do, you might enjoy the movie more than I did. Like I said, some gummies might actually help, some nice, a couple of cocktails maybe, whatever. But yeah, that experience in the theater, sadly, was one of the dullest experiences I've had this year. Yeah. And like I said, for a movie that has such spectacular kills, it's sad. It's just kind of sad.
But like I said, I can see why people hate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't want to say I hate the movie. I hated elements of it. I hated my experience in the theater watching it. But the movie does have, there are filmmaking. There's some good filmmaking prowess throughout the movie. The sound design is stellar. That's one thing
I would like with Backcountry. I would like to see like what this guy would do next. You know what I mean? Maybe his next movie would be more up to he'll learn from what we say in like the reviews and actually add like.
I mean, I think this guy probably could make a good traditional slasher. He's got the elements. Hell, make a traditional slasher based on this guy, because obviously there's potential for him to come back.
Yeah,
Make a sequel, but don't do it from his point of view. Now do the sequel from the victim's point of view, which is what we usually get, and let's see if that works. If it doesn't work, well, then go back to the other formula. But just like I said, the experience in the theater is what I'm judging with this movie, not necessarily its filmmaking prowess and things like that. So go into it with a grain of salt. A lot of people I've seen reviews all over the gamut for this. It
still blows my mind that this movie played in theaters. Like it kind of it's crazy.
I'll give you that. Exactly. But yeah, it's not a bad film. I would, and it's short too. It's not like it's all that long. So check it out if you haven't already. I mean, it did play in theaters and had some moderate success. So I'm sure
for all the things that say about it, it does have the best fucking kill of the year. You know?
Oh, by far. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. My kill of the year is in this movie, without a shadow of a doubt. And I don't see another kill between now and December topping it. So. Yeah, I'll give it that.
I want to edit that scene where like Holy Diver playing in the background. Holy Diver!
It's definitely polarizing for good reason. So it's kind of, to me, it's one of those movies where no opinion is really wrong because of how the specific style of the movie is just not going to be for some people.
Exactly. It's a very subjective movie.
I put this in like the same like room as like the movies like The Woman, which I know. We can even say this because of somebody on this podcast that has mixed feelings on that movie. You know what I mean? It's a very subjective movie. You either love it or you hate it.
What movie?
The Woman.
Oh, fuck that movie.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck that amazing movie.
Fuck scarred me for life with that fucking dog scene.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Hated it.
Let's see if Lacy's last pick is an amazing movie. What do you got, Lacy?
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, like this movie, this was a first time watch for me, and it's definitely going to be a niche film for certain people. Just because of the style, and it's so fucking out there, which was not at all what I was expecting. I thought it was just going to be like a straight up slasher, and it wasn't. I am, of course, talking about 2011's Detention.
Josh Hutcherson.
Yes. Which this movie's so like, it's like a horror comedy, time travel, like so much shit going on. Like I thought I was going to hate it. There's so many like movie references to like 80s and 90s and like the flashbacks. It's actually really fucking cool. The guy who directed it actually has done a lot of music videos, so that's probably how he was able to get all of the songs that are in this movie. Because he's worked with like some of the biggest artists ever, like Mariah Carey, I can't even remember, Eminem, so which, I mean, those are two pretty big names, period. So, and there's a shit ton more. I think Taylor Swift's on there. But yeah. But there's a lot of music in this, which I think, like, I wish it had spent more time in the detention sequence, but I thought that was really fun and clever that the dude's been there since, like, 1992. I thought it was actually really clever. And it does have some pretty gnarly gore in it. I know a lot of people don't like Dane Cook. I don't really care. Yeah, I thought it was overall fun. It's quirky. I'm trying to think of like, it's like if you like shit like oh god, Broken Lizard,
Club
Dread, yeah, stuff like that. Like it, I'm trying to think of another movie to compare it to, but my brain is fogging at the moment. I haven't seen that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like there's just so much going in on it, but I actually really enjoyed it at the end of the day. And if you haven't seen it, it's on Tubi. Yeah, I thought it was cool. There's some like twisty shit in it, like just stick with it. And like I really enjoyed the third act more than anything. Yeah, like the Fly reference was fucking out there. Shit. The TV hand, like there's so much shit in this, like. I don't know. Like I'll have to do a commentary on it. I like to do commentaries if you haven't noticed. So, I'm able to articulate my thoughts better that way sometimes. But yeah, if you haven't seen Detention, it's just kind of like eat some fucking edibles, as Venom would say, and you might have and you might have a good time with it. And Mike as well says that too. So yeah.
Yeah, man.
Have you guys seen Detention?
I know I have, but I don't have much of a memory of it because there was another movie there was an Asian horror movie called Detention from a couple of years ago, and that's the one that I always think of now when people say Detention. So I know I saw that one. It just didn't leave much of a memory.
Like, it's out there. You'd remember it.
Yeah.
And if Dane Cook was in it, I might have mentally checked out.
That's fair.
I don't hate the man. I'm not going to be one of those guys that says, fuck Dane Cook, I hate him, blah, blah, blah. I just don't care about him.
He's barely in it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing it back in the day, but it's been a while. I just remember the dude from like the Mysterious Island movies who was in it in Hunger Games. Josh Hutcherson. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it too. For some reason, I don't remember. Like, I remember it kind of being chaotic and a lot going on in it as far as plot wise, and like it was hard to box it into like a specific genre or even two genres because of everything going on. But yeah, I think Lacy's description is pretty much how I was feeling when I saw it the first time, or the only time.
Yeah, like it's just kind of like a fun throw-on movie. Like, it's really short too. Like, yeah, like it feels almost like Totally Killer or Final Girls even a little bit at times. Yeah, so yeah.
Hell yeah.
Cool. All right. So my last pick. This one, I'm gonna assume we probably would have covered this on Fresh Cuts had it not dropped kind of in the midst of when we went to the theater. I think it's either 3 or 4 weeks in a row where we had a theatrical release. And this one was on Shudder. I literally knew nothing about it. Like, it wasn't one I was anticipating because I didn't even know it existed. So this is like a Shudder success story because anyone who listens to Fresh Cuts knows me and Venom and even Dawn haven't been especially thrilled with a lot of like movies on Shudder that they deem Shudder originals or the ones they've gotten the rights to over the past couple of years. Outside of a few here and there, but this one, complete opposite. I really like this movie. It's called The Devil's Bath, and this is kind of going to be one of those ones where I'm personally high on it, but I know it's going to be specific to people because it's a period piece. It's a slow burn. It kind of teeters on like, is there anything supernatural or is it just kind of the sign of the times of what's going on? So basically the setup, and this is kind of like a historically, this individual story of the characters in this movie isn't necessarily historically accurate, but what they're basing it around is, which is in this timing, it was like, some Eastern European country, kind of like Dark Ages period. And back then, I guess, when women, Christianity was still kind of like the main religion for everyone, and when women would be super depressed and basically want to end their life, the problem with that is like, according to the religion, you go to hell. So like something that they did was they would commit some heinous crime that they would be tried and guilty of, because through like the Christian justice system, before you were put to death for your crime, you would always get an opportunity to like confess your sins and basically be absolved. So it's a weird, fucked up way to like not go to hell, I guess, for committing suicide, because ultimately that's what they would want to do. So basically this story centers around a woman. She's newly married to some guy. Obviously, there's issues with the marriage from the start. They are not conceiving a kid, which is basically her purpose back then. And she goes into the basically a long-term depression, and the depression is what they referred to back then as the devil's bath. Basically, they they weren't advanced enough yet to understand, I guess, mental illness, at least not on this level. So when someone would be depressed, they would refer to it as, oh, they're in the devil's bath. Basically, it's the devil making them sad and depressed, and we got to do something about it. So you get into like a lot of like religious kind of punishment stuff. You get into like, what they thought back then would actually remedy depression and all that. And so the story kind of plays out. I don't want to give away like what exactly the person did to like start the chain of events or like as things unfold, because that'd be just too many spoilers, especially for a movie. It's still relatively new. I think it's been about 3-4 weeks now on Shudder, but I haven't really heard a whole lot of people talk about it. I know when it comes to period pieces, they're automatically going to scare away a certain amount of people. They're just going to see that, oh, it takes place when. No, I don't. It's not for me, which is fine. I understand with these types of movies. Venom, I think you would like it, or at least it would be something you might be interested in. Because if I had to compare it to something, the closest I can think of is like a Hagazusa. You remember that one that you really liked?
Do I remember that one? Do I remember one of my favorite movies of the last decade? Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah, so so anyway, anyone a fan of that, I would recommend watching it. But has anyone seen it yet?
No, but I know it's from the same guys who did like Night Mommy and The Lodge.
Yep. Yes, it is.
Nice.
Yeah, so there is some pedigree to it. Like, it's not like a first time filmmaker or anything. They have a couple legit movies already made, but I personally would highly recommend it. Like, if I had to make a top 10 list today for 2024, it would be on there. The thing is, like, I gotta say, 2024 is starting to like turn around to me way more than 2023 did at this point. So it's hard to even be definitive about like I know there's a couple movies probably that will be guaranteed to be on my top list, but other than that, I still think there's enough releases that could like push half the list off the list by the end of the year. But as of now, this would be on my top 10.
I mean, 2023 started out not nearly as weak as 2024. So the fact that we had that jump in quality right around the spring, it almost wasn't as noticeable. This year, 2024, I mean, we talked about it on Fresh Cuts. The first 3 months of the year, we were literally crying because we had like 8 weeks in a row of just terrible movies. But yeah, I mean, the upswing this year has been amazing. I mean, literally since March 29th, when Stop Motion dropped, almost every other horror movie that I've seen has been pretty damn good. And even though I had issues with Maxine, it's still a somewhat watchable movie. Long Legs, obviously, if you heard our review, we all loved it. And now Oddity came out this week. I've already seen it twice. So yeah, 2024 is having a crazy upswing. So yeah, I mean, considering how bad we've never had how can I put it? We've never had a worse first 3 months of a year in the 6-7 years we've been recording Fresh Cuts as 2024. I mean, it was looking anemic for quality horror movies after the first 3 months of the year. So yeah. I totally agree. I am loving the upswing now, and 2024 is, I mean, right now, as of right now, 2024 is only a couple of good movies away from topping 2023 for me. As much as I loved When Evil Lurks, and it was, my number one movie by a country mile, there have been, I mean, like, as of right now, there's 3 movies vying for my number one spot, and that doesn't usually happen. So yeah, 2024 is just, and we still got Nosferatu, Alien, Romulus, and so many great.
Can't wait for Alien and those. Yeah, I can't wait for.
Oh God, I mean, yeah. So I'm thinking 2024 is going to top 2023 probably by like the end of August, if I had to predict. But yeah, very glad that 2024 had a turnaround. Not that Shudder had anything to do with that turnaround, but at least the cinema has been there for us. So thank God for that.
Yeah. Neon, A24, they're here.
Oh, they're killing it.
Even that one coming out, I don't know what month it does, but the one with Brandy. Well, the Cuckoo, yes,
Cuckoo
too.
Looks decent, yeah.
The one with Brandy, it looks wild as hell. Like,
what's the name of that one? I don't watch trailers, so I don't know what
the front room.
Brandy's in.
The front door?
Yeah, I haven't even.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
the
what
one
it is,
from
the front
Robert
door?
Eggers' brother. Robert Eggers' brother
Oh,
directed
okay.
that one. Yeah.
Did you guys
Oh.
see the trailer for the Hugh Grant one?
Yeah.
Nope. Oh, I'm sure everyone has, but yeah, I don't do trailers.
Oh, so stoked.
Yeah, the Hugh Grant one looks good too. So
Yeah.
yeah, we got plenty on the way.
Better than the James McAvoy one, anyway. I'm sure, because that trailer I've seen and I fucking hate it. So.
Oh,
the
yeah.
loud noises when he cuts the tongue.
Oh God, that movie looks like it's just gonna. I'm gonna be frustrated from beginning to end. I can already see it. It's gonna be a movie.
I saw Blumhouse. I'm like, oh.
Oh
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
You'll be glad to hear that today, where the director was like, "Yeah, we're going for like a less explicit version," and he's like, "But it's okay because we're going more psychological." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? The original was psychological, like."
Yeah.
And they're
It's,
not mutually exclusive. You can't. There's no rule saying because it's a psychological horror movie you can't be like explicit in the.
I'd rather go see that werewolf Kit Harington movie than that shit.
Hell yeah, big time.
That's not even playing near me. I was kind of pissed. I was like, I would go see that in theater. It might be not good, but I'll still watch it. It's a werewolf movie.
All right. Well, anyway, that wraps up what we watch. Unless anyone has any like bonus things they've seen or played or read or whatever that they want to bring up.
Acolyte. See the fucking lightsaber fucking crystal fucking bleed was fucking awesome.
Yeah, the only good part of that entire fucking series. I did not like that series. God, it was Gen Z Star Wars.
I had mixed feelings on it.
Wait,
there's very little about it I liked.
Was this week's episode the finale?
Yeah.
Yes, that was it.
Okay, that explains why the closing scene was what it was then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I am here. Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering because I remember about like 4 or 5 episodes into the season there was a rumor about that character showing up, and I was like, we'll see. And then
I wasn't expecting the other character to show up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that was fucking awesome.
I just had
that was the only other part I liked the show. I liked. I'm like, that's all I needed. Him fucking lurking in the shadows, like the sneaky snip that he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with Venom. Like overall, I didn't think it was that good of a show. There was a few moments that you could rest on, but other than that, it was like
yeah. You don't spend 40 to 50 years setting up how fucking awesome Jedi are and then kill a Jedi Master in the opening fucking scene of the series. Fuck you. I'm sorry.
Especially when it was such a big deal that she was in it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was just one of those things where I was checked out by the end of the first scene of the first episode. I still watched it because my wife, Mrs. Venom, loves Star Wars shit.
Yeah.
And so do I usually. But yeah, this series did very little for me. It just
the
whole time all I could
Darth
see.
Mulder.
Yeah. I mean, I call it Gen Z Star Wars. Like literally I can see every single person in this show doing a TikTok dance. I'm sorry. I couldn't get into it.
And then that one actor said Anakin blew up.
It just seemed too like a novice of a character to take out a Jedi Master too. Like I was just like,
fucking Darth Teeth.
Like if it was just like a Jedi Knight or someone like more introductory in their training that you could tell they were outmatched. But I'm like, wait, this is a Jedi Master. Like they shouldn't have trouble with this person,
Yeah.
A Jedi, Jedi Master shouldn't have trouble stopping 2 knives at once. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. But if you know what that metal is, that's actually actual lore.
I understand. It just
I know it's stupid, but
it's fucking set up. It just, like I said, it takes the little kid of anytime a new Star Wars show series begins, I turn into that little kid, that little 7-year-old Mr. Venom from 1977 watching the original Star Wars in theaters. And usually I can gauge how good the show is going to be by how quickly they kill the inner child in me. And this series did it in the opening fucking scene. So yeah, done.
When did it kill you in Book of Boba Fett?
It never did, believe it or not. dude, I am such a Boba Fett fan, and the fact that they
I
fucked up Boba Fett's backstory in other Star Wars like content. I thought Book of Boba. I know it's a maligned series, and a lot of people maybe didn't dig it. But I'm sorry, Boba Fett riding a Rancor. I think I came in my pants 3 times.
I loved it.
Oh my god, yeah. The Star Wars kid in me had a
trained by Danny
Trejo
too.
Oh come on, Danny Trejo is the Rancor keeper. Come on.
That was fucking awesome.
Lacy, don't let us bogart the Star Wars conversation. I'm sure you're chomping at the bit to get in.
Oh yeah.
I don't like sand.
So demons. I love it.
Hey, I got one news item, just one, and it's the only reason I'm even bringing it up is because when we originally were supposed to record, this would have been kind of a follow-up from the last episode. There's a small update to Flanagan's Exorcist, which makes me more hopeful now because the news when I say the news hit, we're talking like at least a month and a half ago now, but the news hit that his Exorcist will have zero connection to Believer. It's like starting its own thing. So I'm like, yes, now that alleviates my worries. That was like, okay, it's Flanagan, but does he have to like connect it to that garbage? But now that it sounds like no, and it's actually going to be a Flanagan vehicle, I am very like I'm
more curious on it.
I'm more curious. I'm more looking forward to like what he could truly do. It feels like it's actually going to be like a Flanagan project now, as opposed to let's just attach the Flanagan name to this garbage that we're going to put out.
Especially with him with like his love of books, he might like actually take it more serious too in that aspect.
Well, yeah, and
I mean,
I was just gonna say, like the Exorcist as a movie, at least the original, it's really the characters that make the movie so good. Outside of just
character
stuff,
singular character.
Think
that's the problem. Like I said when we reviewed The Exorcist Believer, the biggest issue with it is that it's not about the fucking Exorcist, all right? My friends, The Exorcist, the original fucking masterpiece, is not about Linda Blair. It's fucking not. It is about Damien Karras. That is Damien Karras' movie. That's why that fucking movie was amazing. That's why Exorcist 3 was fucking amazing. And that's why Exorcist Believer is a steaming pile of fucking dog shit. Because The Exorcist literally showed up and then got scared and left. That was your Exorcist in The Exorcist Believer. Fuck you. Anyone associated with Believer, fuck you and die. I
fucking hate that movie so much.
How fucking dare you do that to one of the greatest fucking movie franchises ever? Go fuck yourself 18 million times, you fucking hacks.
And you just bring Ellen Bernstein back just to fucking make her blind?
Fuck you! What a fucking the disrespect is fucking disgusting.
Fucking hate
I'm
it.
sorry, David Gordon Green. I hope you get fucking cancer and die the slowest, most painful death fucking possible. Fuck you forever. Did I get my point across?
I mean, after that, I think I'm going to have Exorcist news every episode if that's what it
As long as it involves Mike Flanagan, all is well.
Yeah.
All right, that was literally the only news. I didn't really have time to look up news. That's a piece I had written down for like a month. So, anyone else got any news to bring up in the genre?
It's not really news. I just have one rest in peace to bring to the table because we've lost a lot of celebrities, and obviously the big name celebrities are going to get their respect and tributes and things like that. But I like to bring some of the lesser known. Maybe not celebrities, but to us horror fans, they're big names. Maybe not the biggest names, but people that we love because they come from movies that we love. And this week, unfortunately, we say rest in peace to Friday the 13th, Jason Lives veteran Whitney Ridback. For those who saw Jason Lives, which was part 6 of the Friday the 13th franchise,
my favorite.
Whitney played the nerdy paintball player. If you remember the little wormy guy with the glasses, so unfortunately he passed away this week. So rest in peace to him. And I will watch Friday the 13th Part 6 in his tribute very soon.
Hell yeah, Tom fucking Matthews, baby.
Hell yeah, Tom Matthews, Tom McLaughlin, so many Toms in that movie. We love it.
Alice Cooper. Fuck yeah.
All right, well, if that's it for the news, then it's going to be main feature time where we're going to talk Demons and Demons 2 after this quick break. So let's get our masks and turn into fucking instruments of evil.
And then we're going to smash everything!
Don't forget your Metropole tickets.
Forgot mine.
All right.
The preview you are about to watch is for a movie that is unlike any you have ever seen before. It is for a movie that goes beyond temporary fear to everlasting terror. It is a movie called Demons. Yes, the demons are coming, and they're coming for you. Warning. If you have the courage to see demons, sit near an exit. Otherwise, you might never get out. In your theater, who will survive the touch of the demons and who will not? Demons. With music by Billy Idol, Motley Crue, The Adventures, Rick Springfield, and Saxon. This is no dream. This is happening right now. And it could be happening to you. Demons. They will make cemeteries their cathedrals, and the cities will be your tombs. Will you survive it? Demons.
Hey, wait! There's something weird here. Callie?
Hello? 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 Hello?
Yum! It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack. Promise to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, your sweet tooth. So visit our refreshment center now. Let's go! And now, on with the show.
And welcome back, everybody, to my favorite segment, Power. No, I'm just kidding. That's Slumber Party. Sorry, I forgot where I was for a moment. We are back with No More Room in Hell. We will be covering Demons. This movie has like such a special place in my heart because my Uncle Kevin showed it to me when I was a kid. Like, I had to be like 5. And like, I just remember seeing after like the chick's transformation in the bathroom. And it was so horrifying. And this movie has some of the best like transformation scenes that I've ever seen. Like some better than some werewolf movies. But I just remember like watching it and like the music and like I don't know, like I fell in love with it right then and there. Like I love movie theater horror. Like there's just something about it. There's not enough of it. And I seen this movie before I ever seen Scream 2. Of course, you're gonna get a Scream reference from me at some point. So there it is. But I mean, like Scream 2 has the movie theater horror element as well. So like I feel like my love of that came from this film first. You know, so yeah, I just remember like randomly watching it and then we just wanted to watch it all the time. Like it was super cool. And I just like the characters, like I don't think I'd ever seen like a dubbed movie before. And I didn't even know that it was dubbed. I just thought like the sound was off like as a kid. So like me and my sister would just be quoting this movie all the time. He's like, mine's George. She goes, mine's Cheryl. Like so.
My favorite's the sweaty husband who's like quiet to his wife every time when they're on like their honeymoon at this fucking movie.
or the blind man, Liz.
Like, what the fuck are you doing at a movie theater?
Like,
leave Liz alone. She's getting laid.
Was that supposed to be his bitch? Was that his daughter? Was that his keeper? I literally
his nurse, I think. Right?
Oh, his nurse. But I love how like this has like so.
No, it was his niece. It was his niece.
Thank you, niece.
Okay. I just love that it has like such a different like hodgepodge of characters too, and you're kind of like rooting for them all. But yeah, and then it takes you from out of the theater into the streets. And like you're like, what the fuck is going on with these cokeheads? like what? Like it takes such a left turn there, and like, but I mean, like it comes full circle.
Coke can.
Like because it's almost like it's like pandemic horror in a sense, because like the demons are becoming like a virus that infects people, right? So. And like you don't know that till like the end that like it has spread to the outside because they come inside, and it's just a really cool fucking movie. And the movie within the movie is done really well. Another movie that like I wanted to cover along with this was Popcorn because that one has a bunch of movies within a movie in it. But this one I think is probably top tier. Obviously aside from Screams, but yeah. Yeah, when was the first time you guys watched this movie?
I'll think years. Did you, Venom?
Yeah, opening weekend. Well, maybe not opening weekend. I think I saw it the second weekend, actually, because I think a buddy of mine saw it opening weekend and was, well, opening weekend in the States, obviously. And I remember him telling me, oh, you got to see this movie. It was so awesome, blah, blah, blah. And then I went to see it the next weekend, and yeah, pretty much agreed. So yeah, I've been a fan since day one.
The first time I ever seen this movie, it was on a shelf of a Suncoast video. It was Anchor Bay VHS of this with those awesome clamshells they used to. Remember when Anchor Bay did those awesome clamshells with like rounded off like ends?
Mm-hmm.
I always liked those about that company, but it was one of those. I bought it. Well, my mom bought it for me, I should say. And I watched it, and I'm like, what is this music? It's like kind of like Inspector Gadget, didn't it? At the beginning, like it was kind of awesome because that was my age when I saw this movie. So I was like thinking Inspector Gadget in the back of my head. But yeah, but ironically enough, this movie actually would grow in my. This is kind of like my first like. I wouldn't say it would be my first. I think Suspiria was my first Italian horror movie that I saw. And I knew of this movie because Argento, because I saw Dawn of the Dead already before I seen this. So I knew who Argento was, and this is another movie that he produced. And the director of this movie, I find very interesting because I found out it's like Lambero Bava, and then like when I was doing like history, like his dad was Mario Bava, like one of the father of like Italian horror. So that makes it even. And then I find out later in life that this movie is written by Dardano Scacchetti, who also wrote my favorite horror film of all time, Zombie, which, that makes, like, this is like Argento mixed with like Fulci with like some of the shit in it. And, it's like cool with that aspect of it. And then the effects by Sergio Stavali, like when that. We talk about like Rosemary, like Geretter's transformation a lot, but the one that actually creeps me out a little bit more is the other girl, the other prostitute. I don't know. She's a friend of mine. That girl, when her teeth were fucking coming out and shit, like and, you hear like the sound effects, like like it sounds like she's being possessed and shit. Like there's some like possession noises going on. With the it sounds painful as she's transforming. That one kind of creeps me out a little bit more because it's a little bit longer. And man, the scene that kind of got me the first time I ever seen this movie is the scene with Hannah. Remember that girl? Her boyfriend kept saying her name, Hannah. I need to find Hannah. She's my girl. And they're in the fucking. And Hannah's played by Argento's daughter, Heeeere, who's also in Phenomenon. She has that awesome sequence at the beginning where she gets killed in the field. But yeah, the scene where they're in like the vent and you see like the handprints of a demon crawling, you think it's actually a demon chasing them, but no, they're coming from the front now. And you find out Hannah's a fucking demon. That scene fucking scared the fucking shit out of me the very first time I ever seen it. And yeah, and I love the soundtrack of this movie because it's a mixture of like this awesome synth score by Claudio Simonetti with like his weird like bam, bam, bam bongos and Inspector Gadget noises he's doing with his synthesizer. And then it has a mixture like kind of like I call like these two movies and like Phenomena like sister movies because they have like the same crew. And they have like the mixture of like 80 songs in it. So you get like fucking like Motley Crue and bunch of fucking other songs like Billy Idol comes, White Weddings, and like the Coke scene. And every time I hear that song, I kind of remember scenes from this movie.
Right. You're gonna die, piggy.
Yeah.
Is that what she says? Like I always like. I feel like that's always like how I interpret it. But
yeah, every time this song comes on the radio, I'm like, "Where's my Coca-Cola can?" I need to get it, Yeah, this movie's like 80s is all fuck, which, even though I like the sequel, we'll get into it later, but man.
Yeah, it's a very interesting mix of like 80s songs, but then also a good score too.
Yeah, and then like the mixture of actors too in this movie, like Geretter, who I know from like other Italian horror movies. Like she's in like Rats, Night of Terror, which is another like guilty pleasure movie for me. Uh, and a few other Bruna Mattei movies that she's in. Uh, she's in as Rosemary, one of the hookers. Bobby Rhodes is Tony the pimp. She's a friend of mine. He's the character that you think's gonna be like the main star of the movie, and then he dies halfway through, and you're like shocked. And the fucking coolest part of this movie ever is it's the first movie where like the cover art actually fucking happened in the movie. And it was
Yeah.
fucking awesome when it fucking happened. And
Every time I watch the movie and that scene happens, it just feels iconic with the blue and the demons with the glowing eyes just slowly kind of walking up.
yeah, like even like in like it's fucking awesome. I love that scene so much. I love like visuals and like you have a mixture of like Bava colors in this one, which he got from his dad, but then you have like the goofiness of like a Fulci with some of the script from Scanetti, and you get like some of like the gothic feel from like an Argento movie, and it's like all like mixed together, and it makes Demons a time capsule movie for me. And you know, I know there's a little controversy from like when I did this top 10 list where I had it at number 2, but it was for a different reason why I had Fright Night at number 1, because of the memory of it was a little bit more specialer for me, because it involved like a family member. But other than that, you know, if I was doing like a personal like movies I would watch fucking all the time, Demons would have been like my actual true number 1. So I wanted to get that straight. If somebody goes back and like, hey, he did this podcast where he had like, but it's legitimately like one of my favorite horror movies of all time. You know, I never like, you know, in aspects of how like lists are for fucking dummies anyways. Like if you ever take somebody's list serious like that, then
Yes.
you
No,
know
I'm
what I
kidding.
mean? But you know what I mean.
Well, like I don't think anybody's like gonna like berate you over Fright Night either. You know, like they're two iconic classic movies. Like they're both comfort films to like genre lovers.
Yeah, and you know, in that sense where I was just paying respect to a family member that was no longer with me, but at number 1, and that's all. That's all I wanted to state. But yeah, if I was doing like a personal all-time watches list, Demons probably would be number 1 because it's in my top 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like it's one of those movies, like especially like if somebody has shown it to you, like me, like it's personal to me because of that. So like I totally get what you're saying about the whole Fright Night thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think for me, the first time I saw it was probably rented it from the VHS store, because I had probably recently seen Suspiria, so I knew the name Dario Argento, and even though he's not the director of this, his name, depending on the box art that your video store might have, his name was on it at the version that I saw, so I just assumed, oh, it's a Argento directed movie, and
my
so
DVD has his name on it.
Okay, yeah. Especially back then, yeah, all you had to do, or all you had to go by was the box, because we couldn't like look up movies the way we can now.
Yeah,
so I just assumed.
Argento gets top billing on the movie poster. It literally says Dario Argento presents Demons.
Yeah, I think even like on the Anchor Bay DVD, VHS I had, even it was part of the Dario Argento collection. Yep. You know, because it was like still like his film per se, because he produced it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this movie, it's just a super fun movie. It gets down to business pretty quick. Once we get our first demon transformation, it's paced pretty quick from then on out. There's not a lot of downtime. I much like Lacy, I like the setting, it being inside a movie theater. We can talk about the actual movie that was on the screen, because I was like, damn, I wouldn't mind watching that movie.
Which was actually directed by one of the stars of this movie, who's also in the short on the movie within the movie, and he's the actor who plays the guy who gives him the tickets with the half metal face, played by Mikel Suave, who would go on to be a director himself, and actually like he was actually like the assistant director of this film, I believe, and a few other I think he was even assistant director on Demons 2 and Phenomena, if I may be correct. But yeah, there's actually an interesting aspect where you find out, like, you see that character that he's playing in the real world, but is it kind of sort of connected to the character that he's playing in the movie? That's kind of one thought that I always had when watching this on rewatches, where aspects of that are like, wait a minute, that's the same fucking guy. You know, and that's kind of a cool aspect that brings into, like, more of the aspect, how long has this been actually going on, you know?
Yeah, and what's up with the redhead movie theater usher chick? She looks like she's dressed like Mrs. Claus.
Well,
Like
actually,
Claus.
that's actually probably the most famous cameo in the movie, because that's the little redheaded girl that was in Deep Red, and she was also in a bunch of Lamberto Bava's father's movies, including the classic Bay of Blood, which was the kind of Friday the 13th Part 2, actually kind of borrowed a few of the kill sequences from that movie. It's been documented, like homages.
You know what's like weird to me, like as a kid? Sorry, there's a motorcycle going by. The metal face that you were just talking about, Derek. For some reason, like, I thought he was gonna be a good guy. The first time I watched it, because when, like, she's like in the train station or bus station, wherever, or the subway, I think, and he's like following her and gives her a movie ticket, like, and he just ends up giving her a movie ticket and just like walks away. I was like, oh, he's just giving her a ticket to the movies. and then, like, you don't see him again for a while. So
and he comes back.
I didn't put it together that I was like 5, you know. But I thought he was gonna be a good guy and help him out. He's got a metal face. Like,
yeah, but it's the aspect too where, because he plays like the main guy who gets possessed in the movie.
He plays Jerry.
Yeah, which is like, maybe like this is actually Jerry, but now he's a servant for these demons to recruit more demons.
So
I don't know.
It's not. So, like, the movie is not really a movie, right? It's like something that
it's a tool.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
I think that's kind of the common theme for both of these movies. That the movie within the movie is like a tool to. It's the catalyst that starts all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that it was kind of cool because, like, seeing like Suave in this movie, and then like, this is the guy who would go on to direct Cemetery Man and Stage Fright. Like, that's fucking nuts. Those he has like a small like filmography, but a lot of his movies are fucking bangers. Like,
I love Stage Fright. I've only seen it once. I watched it like during 31 Days of Halloween, like for Kill Count weekend, and fell absolutely in love with it.
Yeah, he even directed like what's sort of like people call like Demons, like the unofficial Demons 3, known as The Church, where it kind of has some of the same elements. It's Argento production, but it's a little bit different. But yeah, that was a cool aspect, seeing Suave, because this is actually the first movie I ever seen him in, and he pops up in tons of other Italian movies. Like, he's in like City of the Living Dead, fucking like Phenomena. He's a cop in. He's a bunch of fucking movies.
Well,
Actor,
like,
director.
This is obviously like a really character-driven film because there's so many different characters. So I want to know who your guys' favorite character is. Who's yours, Venom?
I'm gonna say the little demon that comes out of the chick's back. That dude is awesome. No, I honestly, I don't know if I can answer that. I mean, obviously most people's answer is going to be Bobby Rhodes' character, the pimp, because he's the most boisterous, he's the funniest, he's, you know, like somebody mentioned earlier, you think he's going to be the hero, and then, you know, he gets wiped out in the second act, blah, blah, blah. But I really can't pick one character that really, if I have to pick a favorite, I would probably probably say the first girl to turn. I liked her attitude. I liked her ultra bitchy attitude, or kind of boss bitch attitude.
Rosemary? Yeah, Goretta is great.
Her whole and then her transformation scene, as Lacy already alluded to, is fucking spectacular, painful as hell. That's when I know a transformation scene is good. When I'm feeling like cringy, like, oh my god, that's gotta hurt so fucking much. Your teeth getting pushed out, your nails getting pushed out. I mean, come on.
The tongue. The tongue.
Yeah, the tongue. God damn it. But I'll go with Rosemary.
What about you, Mike Maryho?
I am probably going with the easy cop out answer, and Bobby Rhodes is Tony, because he's memorable. His lines are. It's not just the lines, but his delivery is so good and memorable that you just kind of never forget him. Every time you hear him, it's still hilarious. Like, I've never not listened to his dialogue and not like chuckled at it. And he is kind of like a big imposing force too. Like, he's a big dude. So yeah, probably.
Give me that knife.
Give me the knife. Is that yours, Derek?
No, I'm gonna do the fucking crazy one and pick a bunch of characters, all the coke heads.
Ripper.
Oh god, that 14-year-old looking cokehead, man. She like, I could barely look at her. I'm like, I feel like this is illegal. Like, I shouldn't be looking at this.
With her little Polaroid picture, she goes, "This is my first photo."
Jesus.
Even like the lead one, because he just looked pissed and angry, like he's an angry coke. He's like, "Quiet now, shut the fuck up."
Dude,
I
just love when
cartoon character.
Yeah, and it's great when he comes back in part 2 as the fucking night manager. He still looks like a cokehead.
He kind of looks like Beavis when he fucking Beavis like is like Cornholio.
Yes.
Like, his eyes are like bulging out that much. You know what? Doesn't he?
He knows the part well, probably.
I just like Bobby Rose's delivery, like later in the movie when he's like, because of that scratch, she became a demon, an instrument of evil.
The best part I could say about part 2 though is they got the same dub actor to play the dub voice for his character in that one too.
Thank God.
Right. I have to rectify something. We did a podcast on Slumber Party where we did top 10 final guys, and I do not know why this one didn't even come to my head. About George. He is an epic fucking final dude.
Yo, he comes out on a motorcycle with a samurai sword. It's fucking epic.
Like, what? Like, this dude is a total fucking badass. And
like, that whole ending's nuts. Then a fucking helicopter crashes and it becomes like fucking Escape from New York.
I fully wish that I had put him on my list for that. The guy who ended up winning was Paxton from Hostel. I'm like, what? You know? So.
Oh, fuck him.
So, like, compared to George with the samurai sword on the motorcycle, like.
Yeah, George with the motorcycle is way cooler than fucking Paxton.
And he pushes Metalface with the help of Cheryl with a pipe into a rod.
Wow. Yeah, he Terminator 2'd him.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, George is epic. So. And I just, like, I will never forget when he goes, "I'm George." Like, I don't know. Like,
Have you ever seen opera before, Lacy?
No, like, I'm not, like, I'll have to admit, like, I am not very well versed in, like, Italian horror or, like,
The actor who plays George is in opera. Watch it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I haven't.
It's good.
Like, all of the ones that you have mentioned, like, I haven't seen. So, it's definitely, like, a blind spot for me. But, yeah, like I said, this was, like, my introduction into it. So, I've only seen, like, a handful. I think, like, the only other one I've seen is, like, Tenebrae. Yeah, like, and I don't even remember it. Because I think it was when I watched it. So, yeah, I definitely need to get more well-versed in my Italian horror. But I just love this movie so much because it's something I grew up with. And so I'm surprised I didn't seek out more. Like I said, I didn't know that they were dubbed. Like, I didn't know what dubbed was for, like, the longest time. So one of my favorite lines comes from the friend. And she goes, that screaming sounds real. And he goes, It's the Dolby sound.
I just love the fact that this old guy just brings his wife to a free movie ticket for their honeymoon. And he's taking like his jacket off and getting all sweaty. He's like, "Oh, this is a horror movie." He's like, "Quiet now." Shut up.
We haven't really talked much about the kills in this one, and there's some great kills. Like, I think the scalping is one of the best cinematic scalpings I've seen, especially for an 80s film where they're doing it with practical effects. Man, that scalping was awesome.
Oh, that's great.
And then the helicopter blade chop. I mean, it may not quite be what the Dawn of the Dead helicopter blade kill is, but I thought it was still pretty impressive. So, yeah.
And Rosemary
good kills.
Rosemary's fucked up when she's a demon. She fucking takes the fucking blind guy's eyes out. I'm like, he's already blind.
Yeah, that's fucked up. That's like crushing an impotent man's testicles. What's the point?
Like, I like
they look
how
like
Rosemary
meatballs.
is just like creeping around too. Like, she's kind of, it's like she's like got lost on the set of the Thriller video. Like, she's just creeping around, and then when the scalping happens, the lady she doesn't even have time to run, but she does have time to run. Like, it makes zero sense. So I didn't feel bad when her head got fucking scalped. I'm like, you dipshit.
It's fucking great.
Yeah.
Oh, the rope kill too. I forgot the rope kill. That rope kill was pretty cool.
Oh.
That feels very like Suspiria.
To an extent, yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah. Mike, didn't you say you went and seen this movie and got to hear Goblin play with it?
Yeah, this one is, I've seen Goblin do a couple scores live. So I've actually seen this one on the big screen a couple times. There was that, which was awesome, and then it was also part of a summer film festival here years ago where they picked different like horror exploitation movies 6 weeks in a row and show them on Saturdays at midnight. That was, and it's amazing. And you could tell they're really designed for people who've seen the movies like multiple times, because people will be like interacting with the movie. There's usually like a stage show. People come dressed up, all that kind of fun stuff. I really miss it. It was just another case of like an indie theater getting bought out by like not necessarily a multiplex, but just a bigger company. And I was like, oh, we don't do that kind of stuff anymore. Sucks. But hell yeah. So yeah, this one has been regularly watched throughout my life since becoming a horror fan as a kid. And
oh yeah.
Yeah, but I think that is a good place to pivot to Demons 2. What do you think, Derek?
Hell yeah.
Hold up. We got to talk about the very end scene, which it did this like several times in the movie where you don't know who's turning, and like you mentioned Hannah earlier, like it was her, and then like
Hannah.
And then George and Cheryl, like you think they're gonna ride off into the sunset and like go start a new life with this family that they just found on this Jeep. And
did you know who the little boy was?
Who?
That was Bob from House by the Cemetery.
I haven't seen that movie, so I wouldn't know that. I know I'm breaking all your hearts.
A little bit.
Oh, you love it. You love it.
That just means I get to experience it for the first time.
Yeah.
But so when the credits are rolling and like the awesome score, and like you're like, why is it not panning away, and it's just like getting closer and closer, and then fucking poor Cheryl turns into a fucking demon, and the little boy just blows her fucking off the car.
Yeah, Bob from House Cemetery blows her off the car.
Little Bob.
It's an amazing ending. I wish we had gotten a follow-up with George in part 2, and that's why I said we had to talk about pivoting there.
Yeah, fair play. Yeah, that ending definitely deserved to be talked about. Yeah, it is cool because like you feel like you got your ending with them kind of riding off, and then it's like, wait, we got one more surprise in store for you here.
Yeah, I want to know what happened to fucking George.
George!
He's out living on a farm.
But
He's
his
been
wife,
fighting
Judy,
demons ever since.
his boy Elroy.
All right, Derek, take us away.
All right. Next up, we got Demons fucking 2 from the year of my birth, 1986. Directed by Lamberto Bava. Written by Dario Argento, Lamberto Bava, Dino Scanetti, and Franco Farini in this one. I tell you, you can tell which direct writers write certain things. Argento probably wrote The Blind Guy in the last movie. But, yeah, returning for this one, we got Bobby Rhodes coming back as a totally different character. We have the main cokehead returning back as a fucking different character. A bunch of other people. Carolina Catalina Tassini as Sally Day. We'll be talking a lot about Sally, I bet. And then we have in one of her first roles ever, Asia Argento as Ingrid Haller. She was a little girl in this movie. It's crazy.
A little girl that gets to watch mommy and daddy die.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. But pretty much Demons 2, a group of tenants and visitors are trapped in a 10-story high-rise apartment building infested with demons who proceed to hunt dwindling humans down. It's fucking demons in a high-rise. Now, do I love this movie as much as Demons 1? No, I don't. I'm going to go first on this one. The aspects of this movie I do love is I love high-rise horror. Poltergeist 3 is actually a guilty pleasure movie for me, and the only reason I actually like it better in part 2 because of the aspect that it does takes place in a high-rise, which is weird.
I'd probably agree with that.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I always think that like it's a cool setting. Like Dark Tower is another one that's kind of like similar feel to this, where it's like a high-rise horror, like The Lift, or like its remake, The Shaft, or Down, whatever title you go by with that one. But it's an interesting aspect of horror movies that I like. I do kind of I like the aspect that they kind of make it like a TV aspect more than like a theater aspect. It's a kind of nice versus from the original in that aspect. But I think it could have been a little bit more explained because it's a little bit confusing in that aspect later into the actual movie. But other than that, it's aspects I love. The effects are still great. The characters, they kind of all over the place because you're not like Demons is a better setup because you're introduced to like one character and you follow them to the movie theater. So it was kind of more. This one you're introduced to like a bunch of different fucking characters and it's kind of jarring in that aspect from the first movie.
Well, yeah, because they're all kind of on their own demon timeline. Because it's like demon shit happens, and then all of a sudden we go to other characters who's like, oh, the demons have not been introduced to them yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what I thought, like, this one doesn't rate as high for me, unfortunately, as the OG, just because, I don't know, like, I feel like the characters weren't as fleshed out as, the other ones, because you're in, like, different sections, but I still have a lot of fun with it, like, when I was watching it today, and it's Sally's fucking birthday, I'm like, oh my god, I fucking hate Sally, but then, like...
Oh, she's such an annoying bitch character.
But then she, like, I kind of related to her because, like, I don't want to people either. I just want to go into my room and watch a fucking horror movie.
Yeah.
So, like, I find her relatable there. And she also looks like she walked off the set of a Thriller video at times when she goes blind.
Oh, I love her when she's a zombie because, like, the one thing that she differentiates her from the other demons, she's always running with her fucking hands above her head. with the hands dangling.
Yeah.
She looks kind of like a putty from like a Power Ranger show or something. Like her movements. It always cracks me up, especially when she's running upstairs and shit. Like she still has the hands like, oh, it's fucking hilarious.
And we
Okay.
also have little Eddie Munster in here.
Oh yeah, little Hitler. As Venom
Yeah,
calls.
that's what Venom said. Yeah, Venom. You take it from there.
That's a deep cut for fans of the old underwater kaiju from outer space show, Little Hitler. No, this kid did not turn out to actually be a little Hitler, thankfully. And if you guys want to know what we deemed the definition of a cinematic little Hitler, it's basically a kid who fucks up a situation at every turn. And this kid actually didn't turn into a little Hitler. He was actually kind of smart at times, surviving for a good amount of time. Obviously, he ends up, turning into a demon like everybody else. But his
transforms
scene
to a ghoulie.
That's what I mean. His post-transformation scene, I fucking loved. Something about a little demon, and I know, and that anybody who listens to the Crystal Lake Gift Shop obviously knows that Mike, Lacy, and myself just finished talking about a little demon on our last episode. But something about little demons, it just works for me because when you see a full-size demon, yes, it's scary. It's unnerving. But when you see the little kid demon, it's like at first you're like, oh, it's a little kid. But then you realize it's a demon. You see the teeth, you see the claws. And from that point, it's just like a struggle for who's going to be stronger, who's going to be able to hold the other off. With a regular adult versus a regular adult demon, there's no competition. The demon is going to kill the human every fucking time. But when it's a little kid demon and a pregnant woman trying to protect her fetus, it's actually a little bit more of an even fight. So that whole scene I absolutely loved. But I'm going to let you guys go ahead and finish your general thoughts because I'm going to be bringing down the mood here in a little bit. So go ahead.
Well, I still love that they went there with, turning a little kid, because a lot of times in like horror movies, like kids are kind of off limits. We didn't see it in the first one, so you think that maybe like when he's like crawling in the walls, he's gonna be like our hero at the end of it. That was not the case at all.
Yeah. Everything outside of the highway complex was my least favorite.
Yeah, agreed.
Like the scenes where like Sally's parents, who actually her dad's played by the director Lamberto Bava, that's him as Sally's father. Which those scenes they're kind of boring and drawn out. Like we get like these scenes of like this people driving too, kind of like Demons 1, but that pissed me off because that leads to fucking nowhere. All those scenes because they get into a car crash.
And then it was like they were trying to recreate the cokeheads from the first one, and it just wasn't as like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they could have just had the cokehead because the main cokehead was the security guard, and he still looked like a cokehead, so they should have just used him. And the best part is they bring Bobby Rhodes back.
What?
And his
is that his
actor.
twin brother?
Yeah, imagine. That'd be hilarious. Yeah, no. This is a sequel in name only. It's very Italian. Let's be honest. Because it makes no sense. Like even the plot of this one's kind of stupid. Like even like when the aspect of fucking this demon comes out of the TV. I'm like, they never explained. They never showed this happen in the other movie. I'm like, this makes no sense. It's like they fucking recreated a new demonology. It feels very jarring in some aspects when, like even like in the climax, because the climax is like, okay, it just ends with a baby being born. Okay, this is fucking stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, didn't everybody think that baby was gonna come out a demon?
It should have. It would have been a fucking better ending.
I think
it wouldn't have made sense, but yeah, I guess. I mean, because this isn't an airborne virus. This is a virus that's contracted from scratches and injuries and things, so it wouldn't have really made sense. Huh?
Well, I was referencing Hannah from the first one, where like she the dude throw up on her.
Yeah, I think for anyone watching this movie for the first time, as soon as that scene's happening where she's having a baby, you gotta probably assume in your head there's no reason to have this scene unless like the baby opens its eyes and they're like that yellow glowing. Because like why else are we even going through all this? Obviously, if you've seen it before, you know that's not the case. I think overall, yeah, this movie, I don't know. I feel like it's better if it's watched in a vacuum. Like if it's not Demons 2 and it's just like a movie with people turning into demons, but then as a sequel, it's a little weirder.
You don't know about like the Ogre, aka Demons 3, because I fucking rented that movie under the title Demons 3. Oh my god.
There's really a Demons 3?
Is that the Demoni 3? Because I know of that one.
It's the one that's also known as The Ogre, also directed by Lamberto Bava. They changed the name to try to sell it as Demons 3 because it's Bava. It's about it's legitimately about an ogre that keeps a girl in a basement. Very fairy tale. Yeah, legitimately. Like that's what it's about. We gotta do it one time. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh, I can hardly wait after that description.
There's a few movies that they call Demons 3, like Black Demons by Umberto Lenzi. They call Demons 3 even though it's a zombie movie. You know,
The
like
Church.
yeah, The
There's
Church.
500 zombie movies, like Italian zombie movies.
Zombie 999 Pestilence we're doing soon. Oh boy.
Okay.
Well, I don't think you can bring us down any more than that, Venom.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
No. Probably not. I'm gonna be the voice of dissension on this one. I am not a fan of this film. There's actually not much about it that I actually like. I liken this movie to Return of the Living Dead Part 2. If you remember, it was kind of the same formula where they brought back a lot of the original cast, but just made a different movie, like a different storyline, but with all the same people. So it kind of leaves you feeling kind of like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, why are they bringing back the exact same cast to play different characters? You know, I understand directors have their favorite, cast members that they like and they want to work with often, blah, blah, blah. Johnny Depp and Tim Burton. But it's just one of those things that...
it's weirder because it's not even the same director.
Right, exactly. But it's just one of those things that this movie does not feel like Demons to me. Like, this movie is all over the place. The scene where the demon comes out of the TV, it feels like the Video Dead. Totally getting flashbacks of the Video Dead when I'm watching it. And then at the end, when Sally goes blind, I'm like, oh, now it's Tombs of the Blind Dead. Okay. And then there's even stuff from movies
Sally
that came out.
Jumping up ropes and shit.
No, granted. Oh, right. And then Sally being a fucking Marine going down that rope at the side of the building. Like, yeah, there's so much about this movie that kind of leaves me like, this is only a second time watch for me. I forgot to mention that earlier. I've only watched this movie twice. Once, maybe a year or so after it first came out, and then very recently, like yesterday. Or today, actually. No, it was today. And it's one of those movies that I just have so many issues with. What else can I put it? What else can I say? There's like the whole video, the whole movie, like there's no catalyst event in the movie that starts everything out. It's just the demon deciding to come out of the television. Like in the original, you had the mask scratching Rosemary. It made so much more sense. And then after the scratch, the events of the movie within the movie start coming to life. This one, the movie within the movie literally comes to life, as in the one demon that awakens comes through the television somehow and attacks.
Video drone.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm with Lacy Lou as far as the setting goes. I love theatrical horror movies, as far as movies set in movie theaters. I adore them because I'm such a big fan of the theater experience. I'm at the theater every goddamn weekend. It's just, so that just works for me. The high-rise setting, like, it almost doesn't make sense. Like, how does an apartment building in 1986 go into lockdown like that? Like, that doesn't exist. Like, that's definitely movie shit. Like, in Die Hard, it makes sense because Towers is the home of multiple multi-million-dollar corporations. It makes sense that that building would lock down. No apartment building in 1986 is going to lock down like that electronically. So, there's the sense, and I know I'm using real-world logic to explain why I don't like this movie, which I know kind of defeats the purpose of a horror movie, since there is no logic to be had to begin with. It's a fucking movie about demons, but just it feels like it's so much removed from the original Demons. Even this score, I don't like this score. Like, the score of the original Demons is fucking iconic. I absolutely love it, both the synth stuff and the heavy metal stuff. I just absolutely love it. This movie, I don't know, like, nothing about the score really works for me. Nothing about the apartment setting works for me. Like, I think Evil Dead Rise, and I know Evil Dead Rise is a movie that came out 30 plus years after this one, but I still think that one did the apartment setting a little bit better. It should, since it's so much newer. I understand that, but well, let's take The Sentinel then. The Sentinel is a movie that came out 10 years before this one, and it did the high-rise setting so much better than Demons does.
Speaking of The Sentinel, Lacy, haven't you just recently watched that?
Yes, I was very surprised to see Beverly D'Angelo's tits. And then I rewatched. You
know what the weirdest thing about that movie is? Christopher Walken not talking the whole movie. Like,
yeah,
that's weird.
But then I watched National Lampoon's Vacation, and it showed her tits there too, and I had forgot because I only usually watch it like when it's on Comedy Central.
Exactly. The TV cut.
So I was like, what? I was like, okay, so she's known for showing her tits then. Okay, never mind.
Oh, Beverly D'Angelo was the shit. In her prime, holy crap.
Oh,
amazing.
Lacey, were you a fan of The Sentinel?
I did. I liked it a lot.
Nice. I love it. It's just an oddball fucking movie.
I bought it randomly on DVD.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's a great one. And like I said, the whole point of bringing it up was that I just felt like it did even Rosemary's Baby, even though in Rosemary's Baby, no one's actually trapped in the apartment. It's not like they can't get out. But just the whole feel of that thing, like this apartment building, obviously when you look at the apartments, this is obviously an upscale apartment building. This ain't a ghetto by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm basically looking at a bunch of rich white people, and I don't feel as sympathetic for that as much as I do for people going to a movie theater to see a free movie, because that's something I would do in a minute. I mean, you talk about Metalface being a little scary, the Man in Black in the original shit. A literal fucking vampire with a severed head in his hand could hand me a movie ticket, and I'll still take it and go because I fucking love movies. But it just, like I said, it's just one of those things that this movie just feels so far removed from the original that I have so many issues with it. I have issues with the acting, the idiot character constantly calling out Hannah. He's almost speaking like he has a speech impediment. Hannah! What? What the fuck is wrong with you? And the fact that he leaves his pregnant wife alone in the middle of a demon apocalypse. What the fuck? I'm sorry, but you do not love your wife if you're leaving her alone in the middle of that shit to do anything. I don't care what you're going to do. I don't care if you're going to get a fucking mini gun, a fucking howitzer to mow down these demons. You do not leave your pregnant wife alone during this shit. Anyway.
It's weird. we were doing the Hannah for the other character in the other movie because we like that character more.
Oh, we love Hannah in the first movie, absolutely. Yeah, I don't have an issue with Hannah in the second movie. It's her husband. I fucking hate him. And he's our final guy in this movie. Which
hilariously, his name is George. So is that supposed to be George in the first movie? I'm kind of confused.
Interesting.
Well,
God, I hope not.
We didn't have enough time to care about any of these characters. So
yeah, that's true.
When the mother, because it's all just a hodgepodge of just shit happening. So when the aerobics people move into the parking garage.
Yeah.
And the mother is turning and she's like, help me. But when, the friend turns and George has to kill him in the second one, you feel for that moment, and this, you're just shoot the bitch.
Yeah, exactly. we have no emotional attachment to most of these characters because we don't spend enough time with them. Yeah, there's just too many characters. This movie has the Shin Godzilla effect, as I like to call it, because Shin Godzilla, if you watch it, will literally introduces about 40 characters in the first act with names and titles up on the screen, and as soon as they're gone, you forget them completely. So it's like you're introducing so many characters, yet you don't remember a quarter of their names. So it almost defeats the purpose. But at the same time, there are elements of this movie that I do enjoy. Obviously, Sally's transformation is pretty cool. Not nearly as cool as Rosemary's, not nearly as painful looking as Rosemary's, but it's still there. And then the way that she acts throughout the film, yeah, sometimes it's funny. She's running around with her hands up and everything, but for whatever it's worth, it works. Since she is the first zombie, she's basically patient zero for this new apocalypse. So for whatever it's worth, I can accept it. But like I said, there's just so many other things about this movie, and even like killing her, just that final scene in the TV studio, just
it's
almost pointless.
Oh God! And when smashing it, and she's supposed to be running, it's just a still image.
And then he stops smashing the televisions just because they're not showing that image. I'm like, fuck that. I'm smashing every TV in that goddamn room. I don't care what it's. I'm not taking any chances that this bitch is going to come out of the TV. So I'm smashing, and I'm never buying a television again, by the way. If I'm George after this movie, nope, we are anti-television. We're just not. We'll go to the movies.
Announcing it from Poltergeist at the end.
Exactly. Yes. Oh my God. So yeah, I mean, like I said, this isn't. I don't want to say it's a bad movie, because objectively it's not a bad movie. It's just a major step down from the original. And like I said, because they use that formula, the Return of the Living Dead Part 2 formula of bringing back actors to play different characters in different settings, it's a little off-putting. Sometimes I think it feels lazy. I don't know. I don't want to ever accuse Slumber Bava of being lazy, not by any stretch of the imagination. But sometimes when you see that, it's like, why? Why did you?
It's an Italian thing.
Oh no, definitely. But I don't know. I've seen it done in other franchises where they do it slightly better, and in this one, it just was off-putting to me. Like watching Bobby Rhodes as a fucking fitness instructor as opposed to the pimp, not nearly as funny, not nearly as compelling.
Why?
And I will say, man, this movie is filled with some great asses, but not a set of tits anywhere in this movie. Everybody's flat-chested with a nice butt. But I guess that's kind of the common aerobics build.
You love the ghoulie demon, though, so that's all.
Oh, but hey, Little Hitler birthing that fucking demon that kind of looks like a cross between Elmer from Brain Damage and I forget the name of the creature, but there's a Dungeons and Dragons creature with a mouthful of teeth that looks just like that. But yeah, I remember the first time I saw it, I'm like, that's Elmer. But then once he actually fully comes out of the little kid's body, you realize, oh no, it's much more substantial than Elmer was in Brain Damage. But yeah, it's just a weird little movie. Not a bad movie. I don't want to say it's objectively bad or that I objectively hate it. It's just one that I don't return to that often, and now I know why. I mean, when I watched it the first time, it must have left enough, because it's the same thing with Return of the Living Dead Part 2. I've only watched it once ever, because of the issues that I had with that movie as well. As much as I love Return of the Living Dead, the original Return is like a top 25 movie all time to me. I adore that film. And then they do that with the sequel, and now here we are again with Demons, where they give us practically a masterpiece for the original, and then the second one just feels, I don't know, just a little bit lazy and not nearly as inspired, definitely. And like I said, the biggest thing for me is the score. The score, like, I don't like this score very much at all. It's okay, it's serviceable, but compared to Demons, which is one of the greatest horror scores ever, it's just, yeah, the entirety of this movie is a step down from the original. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
scores. I love both.
I do like the score, and I mean I like the score in the original better, but I still like the one in Demons 2 as well. I will say,
I will agree though, like some of like the musical choices were a little like like the Smiths. I'm like, really? Like, why am I listening to this in this movie?
Even the music that they're listening to at the party, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Havoc on the streets of London.
Yeah, I will say one of the major differences between the first and the second one to me, which I tend to side with the first one as well, is the first one, it kind of introduces us to a core set of characters. We get like tidbits of them in the theater, like their interactions that we all kind of went over when we were discussing the first one. Whereas this one, we kind of get introduced to characters like at certain points in the movie when like the action is kind of already kicked off, and then you go to like a section where nothing has happened yet. So yeah, it does feel a little more like convoluted, or not like a straight byline through like the plot. But like I think this does what a lot of sequels do. A lot of sequels fall into the trap of like, well, there's lots of cool demon action in the original, so we're gonna focus on that, and like the other stuff that made the original really cool, we're not gonna be as concerned about. So I think maybe there's a little bit. I still find this one entertaining for just the demon stuff itself, but I definitely agree. Like the first one is way higher. I've just always found this one kind of entertaining on just like the base trashy horror movie level of like, okay, let's watch another movie about demons ripping people apart and stuff.
Fuck yeah. Watching movies about demons fucking people up.
Yeah, no razor blade coke tit.
Yeah, there's no coke in this one. That's what the problem is.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, not enough drugs. Maybe there weren't enough drugs on the set when they were making it.
Yeah, I actually did like the scene of like the demon trying to come out of the TV, but it just didn't really make much sense. Like it felt like it was the wrong movie. Like, are you testing your capabilities for like a different movie that's coming out?
You see the chat, Venom?
Yeah, I see it.
Look at the chat, Mike and Lacy.
I actually like that poster. I don't know how interested I am to see the movie, but I kind of dig that poster. Sorry, folks, we're all looking at the Demons 3, the Ogre poster right now.
Well, are there any final thoughts on Demons 2 before we wrap this episode up?
You can blame Mike, Mr. Venom, because I wanted to either go with popcorn or anguish for the second feature.
Oh, I love popcorn. I mean, popcorn will get done eventually. I mean, there's no way we're not going to do that. But yeah, it's okay to do one good one and one maybe not so good one. It's good for the conversation. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
So my final thoughts are Demons, yay, yay. Demons 2, nay, nay.
Demons, hell yeah. Demons 2, smoke some weed then. Yeah.
Demons 1, give me the knife. And Demons 2, I would say, like, maybe if you don't watch them back to back, it might be more enjoyable.
Yes,
but
definitely.
like, I watched them both back to back, and the second one, and in the middle of my workday, it was just extremely loud. Like it was just a lot of screaming and not a whole lot of dialogue.
Yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to say about this movie. The audio is all over the place. Like for a 4K Blu-ray, the audio on the first movie is so much better. Like the mix down, I mean, like literally. I'll have to turn up the volume so that I can hear Hannah and George talking to each other, and then the next shot goes back up to the party, and it's like blowing the speakers in my fucking surround sound system. It's like, yeah, the audio's all over the place. Did you guys hear that too on the 4K, or is it just me?
Are you talking about the Synapse release?
Yeah, I think
the two-pack. Yeah.
Like I just remember thinking the audio was so much better. Just the audio quality was so much better on the first one than the second one.
I don't know. I'm kind of used to that because I watch a bunch of these fucking movies, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think
that's valid.
I think the audio mix. Yeah, it was more balanced in the first one for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think like when I was watching the second one, like the dialogue would be a little quiet, but then when a song would kick on, it's like super loud. So it's like I have the remote in my hand adjusting the volume in real time as I'm watching.
That's like a 10-year-old Mr. Venom, watching American Werewolf in London behind his parents' back and having to turn it down as soon as there is an attack. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, same here.
No Mikel Suave. Oh, Rico Suave. Mikel
Yeah, maybe
Suave.
that's it. No Metal Face. No Man in Black. So.
No
character named Jerry in the second movie. So I have no personal attachment to it.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up our thoughts on Demons and Demons 2, which is also going to close out No More Room in Hell number 61. But before that, Lacy, thank you a lot for joining us. I know you've been a part of other shows. We've been a part of your shows, but it was your first time on No More Room in Hell. Thanks a lot. And let everyone know, I mean, they should know your shows by now, but let them know what you got and maybe like what's currently out.
Cut to the Chase is where you can find us, and I do the main show with Dan Chase there, but it's all my shows are under the same banner. The Last 20 just released the last 20-minute commentary on We Summon the Darkness. Just did a Full House commentary. I'm one episode away from the season. The next episode will be the season 1 finale of Full House, if anybody cares about that shit. And then I have the Slumber Party Massacre podcast, which was supposed to drop today, but I had to prep for this instead. So that will be releasing, and we did vacation horror movies. So we covered, we debate Evil Dead versus Eden Lake versus The Hills Have Eyes original versus As Above, So Below. And then for our feature, we did Tourist Trap. So
Chuck Connors.
so be on the lookout for that one coming to your earwaves soon.
Oh, and then Roberts in a tube top.
Yeah, that was talked about. And we need to bring back their Heeeere, Derek.
Fuck yeah, we do.
Damn.
So we could do
that was an endorsement.
We had a
ringing
endorsement 3 with fucking Venom and Mike guest star.
Yeah, we did a whole 10 episodes. The last episode we did was Poltergeist.
Imagine.
They're here.
They're here. Like, did we just end the show at episode 10?
I usually ended at 4.
Hey, and for all the collectors out there, the Carol Ann Funko Pop just came out, so go get it.
Aw.
I got it. It's awesome.
R.I.P. Heather O'Rourke. Yeah. Oh, it's been a while. It's been a damn while. So
yeah. R.I.P. 30 years ago.
Yeah. So for our next episode, I don't know how we're gonna, because like technically this episode was gonna be my pick, but I volunteered to throw him to Lacy as the guest. So I guess after me it goes back to who? Venom.
Yes, sir. I already have my picks.
Oh boy.
Right.
Should I spoil it?
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Fuck it.
All right. I'll do a minor spoiler. I won't say the specific movies, but what I will say is that we're going to be looking at Amicus horror anthologies. So, which will actually be the second time we. Amicus was a UK movie studio. They did Tales from the Crypt, Vaults of Horror, Dr. Terror. I think they did like eight or 9 anthologies.
Blood.
Yeah. Asylum. What was the Back from the Graveyard or something like that, or Back to the Grave? What was the last?
Terror from Beyond the Grave or something.
That might be it, yeah. But I think they did Amicus did like 8 or 9 of them.
From Beyond the Grave, that's what it is.
Beyond the Grave, that's the one, yeah. So, obviously, most famously, it's the original Tales from the Crypt from 1972 with like Joan Collins and John Houseman as the Crypt Keeper, just awesome. I'm going to do some deeper cuts. So we're not going to do any of the popular ones. No Tales from the Crypt, no Vaults of Horror. I'm going to go a little bit deeper and pick a couple of those. Oh, they're already picked, but I'm going to keep it under my hat for now. So yeah, Amicus Horror.
All right,
every last gram.
Venom, you got anything new for people to listen to?
One thing that actually, has our friend Miss Lacy Lou, and that is, of course, is the Crystal Lake Gift Shop, episode 5. Yes, it took me 3 weeks to edit, but that's only because it wasn't a priority and I had other stuff to do. So sadly, that took a while, but it is officially out now. And I think we can also officially make the announcement that Lacy Lou is more than likely going to be joining us on a more regular basis on that show. So if you're a fan of Miss Lacy Lou, please continue joining us for the Crystal Lake Gift Shop. Like I said, episode 5 is the latest episode that's out, where we looked at the season 1 Halloween episode of Friday the 13th, the series. For those who don't know, of course, the Crystal Lake Gift Shop is our episode by episode retrospective of the original Friday the 13th, the series that aired from 1987 to 1990. And that's about all the new stuff I have. We're in the planning stages for the next episode of Creature Comforts. We have our movie picked out. It's just a matter of getting together and recording the episode. We're going to be going back to looking at some classic Universal horror, but again, I'll keep the movie under my hat for now. And that's pretty much it for me. No guest spots to, discuss, or, nothing else on the docket for me.
All right, Derek, other than the announcement of they're here possibly coming back, anything you got?
Yes, I have a guest spot on the latest episode of Fresh Cuts where we reviewed Long Legs.
Woo! Cuckoo!
I've got my today.
I went and put on my long legs today. God dang. I've seen the movie 3 times. I'm going to go see it again probably after we review Oddity. I'm going to go see it at least a couple more times. That fucking movie is spectacular. God damn it, I love it. Nick Cage. I want Nick Cage to be my father.
I'll let him be my daddy.
Oh, I didn't say Zaddy.
I did.
Yeah, nice.
Well, yeah, you can hear more about Long Legs or our thoughts on Long Legs on the latest episode of Fresh Cuts. With that, we are going to get out of here. I say it every time. We will try to get another episode out quicker. I know it's always in the plans to make this like bi-weekly or tri-weekly maybe, but hey, it's a life thing.
That's
so
life.
That's life. But
Welcome back, guys. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lacy. Come
yeah.
back anytime and bring Dan anytime as well, if the schedules work out. But with that said, thanks everyone for listening. We will catch you next time. Let's say bye to our listeners.
Bye.
Sally's birthday.
Peace.
She's an instrument of evil.
She's a friend of mine.
She's a super freak.
Mine's Cheryl.
It's too bad Rick James didn't live long enough to do a horror movie. I want to see Rick James in a horror movie.
Belinda Blair?
Oh, no, that's a porn. No, horror movie. Like Rick James and Snoop Dogg fighting demons in Bones 3.
Oh, you
Is
would
there
have been
a
a...
Bones 2?
I don't know. I've never seen the first one. I don't know what the hell it
Which one?
Wait,
Bones.
Jimmy Bones, you never seen?
Never seen it. Have no interest.
Oh,
Not that,
good.
I actually like Snoop Dogg.
Mike, I know what
the
Mike's
movie,
next mix up.
Nah,
I mean, I'll watch it. I don't care. But yeah, I just one of those movies that never really got my interest enough.
I actually think I did that on 22 Shots, I think.
Yes, you
Yeah,
did.
you did.
'Cause I remember you talking about it.
Yeah, because I was like, I know I recently watched it for a show, and then I was trying to think what show that was it. Yeah, it was 22 Shots.
That sounds like a 22 Shots episode.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not all that. It's okay.
The ending sucks. It was Too Fast, Too Furious.
Woo!
But
Venom
thank
in the
you
Hood.
for listening.
It's for family.
Have a good weekend.
All right,
Yep.
later on, Lacey.
Yep,
Say
bye, guys.
hello to Dan from the cast.
I will. I think he's asleep. Bye, guys.
Oh. Peace.
Adios.